I want to bring in Dr. Mike Warner. He's the Medical Director of Critical Care at Michael Garron Hospital, and he joins us from Toronto. First off, I really appreciate your time. I know how busy you and all the frontline workers are, and we want to thank you for that. I want to start by getting your reaction to the Prime Minister's announcement this morning that he supports ramping.
There are a number of things that we need in the hospital to care for patients. So we do need ventilators, we need general medical supplies, but most importantly, we need personal
Fuck you, you pussy. I'm gonna fucking come down to where your truck is and stab you, eh? You're the only fucking truck parked next to the phone box, stupid. The whole street's empty. Fuck is wrong with you?
We can't provide care to patients.
You think this won't reach? You think this won't reach you, buddy?
Hopefully we can get distribution done quickly.
So are you saying
we did this already. Typical fucking dumb fucking white people, and you're interfering with it now.
Use rates based on what we're expecting to happen.
This is rerun time, buddy.
Out of personal protective equipment.
Do you know when that could potentially happen?
I think it varies by hospital because there isn't an equal distribution of personal protective equipment among hospitals, but each hospital had an inventory. It also depends on how many patients they get with COVID-19. But I can say that we will definitely run out of personal protective equipment based on current inventory levels.
We heard earlier from Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe, and what he's saying, he's putting in mandatory rules now, saying bars have to close, casinos have to close, restaurants have to close, no gatherings larger than a certain number of people, and it's mandatory that there can be fines if these rules are not abided by. Do you think this needs to happen right across the country?
This needs to happen coast to coast immediately. To me, that's what true leadership is, anticipating what's going to happen and making difficult decisions to protect Canadians. COVID-19 does not stop at borders between provinces, which is why this needs to be done nationally. We will get there eventually. There will be a national lockdown. I foresee that. I think there's going to be a lockdown in North America, to be honest. And if we do it sooner, the long-term pain will be less. Every day that passes where we don't do this, where people continue to not abide by social distancing because the guidelines are completely unclear among jurisdictions, more opportunity for COVID-19 to spread among people. So I'm encouraged by what's happened in Saskatchewan, and I hope that other provinces and the federal government will fall in check.
Do you think the Prime Minister needs to make this decision now or days ago?
Yes. No. I think the Prime Minister has a lot of things to weigh, including the economic and social implications of decisions that he makes. If I focused exclusively on healthcare, which is my area, then absolutely, this decision was best to be made earlier. But there are a lot of things to consider. But social distancing, mandatory social distancing, clear guidelines on what that means. No opportunities for people to gather in groups of, say, less than 50, because that doesn't make sense to me. That's what we needed a while ago to reduce the spread of COVID-19. I don't think it's too late to institute those rules, but time is running out.
What happens if that doesn't occur?
So what we want to avoid is a situation like Italy or New York City or San Francisco or Seattle, where we're seeing exponential spread of COVID-19. It's a concept similar to compound interest, where patients infect more patients. But if that happens, then we'll have a deluge of patients coming to hospitals.
10% of the cases are fucking healthy.
There's no system on earth that can handle that. And what we've seen in Italy is that with all those patients coming at once, not only are patients with COVID-19 not getting treatment, the patients who come in with other illnesses, overdoses, trauma, people requiring emergency procedures, we may not get them either. So the collateral damage of not flattening the curve is actually horrific when you think about it.
What do you see this looking like in a month, maybe 2 months from now?
Well, we're planning for all scenarios. In healthcare, we definitely plan for the worst case scenario. We hope for the best, we plan for the worst. And that's what I'd like to see from the government.
That's a
plan. We need to overreact, if that's what people think we're doing. We need to plan for the worst in every way. We need to make sure that we have enough supplies, enough ventilators, enough beds, enough nurses, enough doctors. We need to make difficult economic and social decisions today that in retrospect may seem completely obvious that they should have been made earlier. So I'm concerned.
What would be the worst case scenario?
I think the worst case scenario, for me personally as a physician, is to be in a position where I have a patient in front of me who I can't help, who I'd normally be able to help or save today. I think that's an experience that Canadians and Canadian physicians and nurses and other healthcare practitioners have never had to face. I'm concerned for my own family. I'm concerned for my friends. COVID-19 will touch everybody. There will come a point in this outbreak where everyone will know somebody who has COVID-19. And, I hope that people are listening and watching and listening to me when I say that social distancing is the most important thing you can do today to reduce the risk of you and anyone you care about, and even people you don't even know, from getting COVID-19. It's the only tool that you have, and it has to be taken seriously. And I'm calling on the government to make it clear to Canadians what social distancing means. From my perspective, that means the safest number to congregate in is 1, not 50, not 10, not 250. That's what science tells me. I'm going to bet on science as opposed to hope and luck.
And you believe that the federal government needs to make this mandatory now?
Absolutely.
That was Dr. Michael Warner, the Medical Director of Critical Care at Michael Garron Hospital in Toronto. Thank you so much.
I never heard of that hospital.
My pleasure.
Uh-oh. I haven't seen this one before. Is Canada doing enough amid the pandemic? Oh, it's not playing. Oh, it's 22 fucking minutes. Get out of here.
This is.
You're gonna start playing after I've already removed it from the whole system. Then it starts playing. That's nice and convenient. That's funny and humorous, but it's not very useful or functional. Oh, now the mouse doesn't work. Oh, yes it does. No, it doesn't. Yes, it does. No, it doesn't. Thank you. You're such a great, so high level. But it seems to me you never make anything happen. You only interfere with things happen. You never make something happen. You're not a hacker. You're a script kiddie, which is a pussy hole. Pussy hole. Fox.
Hey.
This is where you, oh look, see, he's crazy. He keeps doing it to himself. This is the 4th time today we've watched it do it. This is the 4th fucking time today it's done it. Oh, let's navigate to some other random application. Both my hands are here. Hey, you can see her.
Hey. Back in the day when a nigga had his burner, all these fake niggas acting like a dick works, yeah. Talking like I let it rip, it won't be a first, yeah. In your hood with my gun, niggas know I lurk, yeah. Back in the day when a nigga had his burner, all these fake niggas acting like a dick works, yeah. Talking like I let it rip, it won't be a first, yeah. In your hood with my gun, niggas know I lurk, yeah. Those fake niggas hot out when I'm up, never wanna start in my hood. I don't give a fuck, call me on, pick it up, stuff my life has been rough. Niggas think I won't shoot, now bitch call my bluff. I'm chopping, I'm getting real hot. Dirty strap, but it cleans work like I'm up. Extended clip with the hollows, that's in my lock. It's outside, read apart, that's where I rock. Outside, that's where I rock. Then a clip, hang the Glock. Dirty strap, cleans like I'm up. Hey.
Fucking line up for the dollar store.
How many y'all with the lava? Hey. Back in the day when a nigga had his burner, all these fake niggas acting like I didn't good. Say I cock it like I let it rip, it won't be a first. Yeah, in the hood with my gun, niggas know I lurk. Yeah. Back in the day when a nigga had his burner, all these fake niggas acting like I didn't good. Say I cock it like I let it rip, it won't be a first. Yeah, in the hood with my gun, niggas know I lurk. Yeah. One day nigga gon' be rich with my dog. I'm gonna get her in a big crib. I don't check a fucking basketball and never fucking capture. keeping that head, nigga, I'ma do a couple laps. Stacking, I'm getting that guap. And nigga talk tough like you ain't really high. Seen you last week, nigga, seen you get stopped. Why the fuck you acting like you really on a block? You ain't on a block, he be talking to the cops, trying to get me knocked deep. Kicked in the door looking for a gun. Lame ass niggas, you already bumps. Go to bed hungry, nigga, are you fucking dumb? Chase that nigga down the block, I made a fucking run. Always been about the shit since I was really young. Kicking doors, stopping niggas just for the fun. Southside, Richard Park, back on the day when a nigga had his gun up. All these fake niggas acting like a damn gucks. Yeah, I can let it rip, it won't be a first. Got in their love with my gun, niggas know I lurk. Back in the day when a nigga had his gun up. All these fake niggas acting like a damn gucks. Yeah, I can let it rip, it won't be a first. In their hood with my gun, niggas know I lurk. Yeah.
Oh, it's crazy fucking day. You got the criminals saying, lock the country down. All the regular ass people saying, no, I got rights, I got rights. The jail guards are saying, release the fucking inmates. Boy, everything's backwards. Yeah, the state of emergency here is such that because everybody wants to go grocery shopping at the same time, they gotta line up and take turns waiting outside.
Fuck it is, nigga.
Horrible, horrible. Oh, their shelves are not empty. And the bonus is the store is not crowded.
That's the motto we live by for timing. Playing games, we got no time grind. Till our stacks so high, right? For all the niggas who are close by, if you ain't bout to please stay on the Lord's side. Big gun, eagle eye, that against your soul, right? Grind. That's the motto we live by, right? Tell all of your folks
die.
Niggas act sick like my niggas won't air you or talk tough till you see me creeping in your rear view. So I dare you, if it's me you wanna harm G, shots make your heart stop, I'm out in a heartbeat. Always on my feet cause niggas snake for the right price. So in these dark streets I keep it close like a nightlight. When I let it go they take it off like a race. Niggas always rap, why you think this mask on my face? Why you think I'm on this block making cash different ways? Nipping to these heads with shots pushing back your waves. Your mom catching
Pick
bricks
up
when
a
my
brick
niggas
and then I
sit
flip
back.
it for
But it's a
10.
straight face when I stick him for the stash. Yo, cause John knows I got some stacks at my base. But I'm still robbing niggas like I'm flat on my face. Still shooting shots, no shoes, get them laced. Do the same dirty, get away with no trace.
grinding. That's the motto we live by for timing. Playing games, we got no time grind. Till our stacks so high, right? For all the niggas who are close by, if you
Oh, it was fucking snowing out there.
Big gun, eagle eye, that against your soul, right? Grind. That's the motto we live by, right? Tell all of your foes die. Yo, I'll ride out for the close ones. Crunch time, do time for the close ones. When it comes down in the long run, you niggas broke, I'm the man with the long gun. You're fucking with the wrong one. If my niggas broke, I'ma break. I'ma get you smoked out like a dope head. Nigga OD from this chrome lead. You owe me, pay me, or I flip fame. Anything I find is mine, then I'm a jack. Certain niggas should've chipped, better off with a jack. Certain niggas should've drip, freeze when they see sense. Freeze when they see queens. But it's nothing like the movie. Bunch of young youths with nothing but a spoon. But we still on that fuck. And the streets done cuff me. I'm counting money, got me feeling so lucky. Still feeling cursed cause I sleep with a duppy. You niggas are sweet and me I'm on my munchies. I mean on my grungy. So come try slap me. I love guns and my gun loves me. Strap on my side like a wife and a huggy. Clean shit, nice shit, no kid cut me. Rubber band money, stacked by the 50s. Come try jack me, I brought the strap with me. Nigga. I brought the strap with me.
Just slept half the fucking day. I needed to. Oh, keep a regular sleep schedule, they say. Why?
Yeah.
I I didn't have a job before. You people ain't gonna have a job after.
Dreamcast. We beat them schizo kids. We beat them schizo kids. Hey yo. I hold a murderous mind that's dark and twisted and blind, and meant to define as the grim reaper around the dark night of master. Spit natural disasters, lust for bone fractures and blood plasma flash. I'm the one you don't get to play with, cause I'll finish ya. Sick and that's cerebral, insanely relinquish ya. Glory of pain and verbs of rebuttal context. To flex with the sharp syllables and slice next. And step to a beat and step with the rhythm. I beat that ass like the beat when the bass starts hitting. My personality's hitting, so which one is it? Got 7 homies in the brain, including derelict. Stone cold hard with a go hard drive. Stone so smash with these oh so dope lines. I'm the lifeline and I'm the life that cause death every time I spit. When I use it, I'm schizo kids. You know who this is. Dreamcast, Philly D, and the terror lit. Lyrics of lunatic, spiritual psycho shit. Understood shit, killing when we spit. Go ahead and run your mouth. Go ahead and talk your shit. Make the shit straight, season from your ass in.
When I'm writing these words and when I cipher these verbs, just tell me what you have heard because it isn't absurd. And when I'm spitting these rhymes, I get poetic at times, so don't be fighting my routes, cause I'll be snapping this time. For all the muscle and souls who've given up on the goals because they're like full of holes, so let me heart if you fold. Just keep a smile on your face because hate is such a waste. You don't want to end up shamed and be the one with the blame. Cause I'm just killing these cows when I'm just spitting these raps, and I'll be done with these facts. You think they're better than that. When I be fighting this craze, I'll leave you all in the daze with all the words that I say just can't be taken away. I look at you like you're not the only one who's on top. You really need to just stop and get the hell off your rock. Maybe we're all just like you, don't really want to be rude, but you're just killing the mood.
You're not gonna get through.
We beat them schizo kids, you know who this is. Dreamcast, Philly D, and the terror lit. Lyrics of lunatic, spiritual psycho shit. Understood shit, chillin' when we spit. Go ahead and run your mouth, go ahead and talk your shit. Make the shit straight, season, gon' get your ass hit. Lyrics of lunatic, spiritual psycho shit. Yes, you know who this is. We beat them schizo kids. Yo, I'll snap your shit and have to watch it bleed in your rooms. Hearing my dementia laugh as I'm killing your blood. Sick in the head, I'm the grim reaper, but cheaper. I'll punch you in the eye through the motherfucking speaker. The voices in my head erupt and explode. Stuck here spitting another schizophrenic episode. Looking for the rustiest blade that I can find, and I'll pound it in your skull, putting holes on your mind. I'll kick you in the jaw and shatter it with my toe cap. Bones in your face slip looser than a hose flap. While you're on the floor, convulsing, struggling to breathe. Watch me cut off your airways, drown your girl's weed, and drag you by your desecrated face into the kitchen, and fucking beat you with the pan so you start twitching. By the sound of the shit, I should be in the mob. I'm a lunatic, but murdering MCs is my job.
Homies on every block, none afraid to get shot. Priceless.
For my headphones, 719.
7-5 niggas chopping drugs out the fucking window. What if I'm the last one left to survive this shit? Hola, querida, you lost me after hola, homeboy. Hola, querida, so you lost me, bro.
719 nigga all day. Niggas want what? Well, who? I swerve through, I hop out. The clip long, the bullets pop out. You see that nigga? He shaking, looking like a mental patient. Nah, nigga, I ain't got no patience. You see how the cake shaking? You sound like an earthquake. You can get earth today, nigga. His name is Dave. It's real shit. When we pulling up, pop shit. I hit him up. Don't give not one fuck. You hear me screaming? This shit is real. I don't even need a fucking record deal. Niggas all know I got a street deal. Empty out the whole clip, know it's real. Motherfucker. Empty out the whole clip, know it's real.
This is now a half pack.
Shiny boy, nigga, you hear that? Murder gang popping, something like beer caps.
We start on the next full fact.
Nigga, that beer fast. Never let the ops win. Blocking like airwax. They hear
Blocking
that.
like
Looking
earwax.
back, couple of niggas in there for mating. When we dropped this tick, know a couple of niggas that hated. Ticket to the death, the birth, that's happy belated. See it different mothers, but niggas always related.
Always
They didn't hear me. Rolling with killers, I know they got me though. See us in the streets, will never take us for poppy show. Holding out his hammer is heavier, so we lock it low. 40 cal singing, it's like it's been in an opera show. You know, the run top, we on fire. Going downtown on the street, crying in desire. Marlon looks up, but still he's on the wire. His whole crew looking like a choir. Niggas singing, yeah, white like Mel Gibson. Pitcher, made a short stop like Cal Ripken. Flipping, prison up white like Don Christians. Nipping on this pig farm like Rob Picton.
I'ma still shine light on your grave and send shots to them boys who threw dirt on your name. It's no lie, better run when them shells are jet. It's 7-5, but I still fuck with hella sets.
That are alive and well, causing mad hell. Go ahead, go tell. You can't tell us like you on the self killer. Tip again. I don't give a fuck off YouTube tips. They're not paying my friend.
And me and Nyneteen, we were setting up the shop. I was moving shit quick while I was shepherding up the shop. Our cooperation led to an operation and all. Everything we did was always beneficial for the squad. Trapped all day, yeah, trapped all day. And I got it up and what you could ask trapped all day. Just let me, nigga, don't test me, nigga. So I ain't no test.
Here's what's making news right now.
Does it rhyme with Ovid?
Marks Ontario's first healthcare worker death from COVID-19. Health officials believe he contracted the virus from community spread, not from work.
Yeah,
the city is facing COVID-19 outbreaks at a number of long-term care homes. But Toronto's chief medical officer of health says we still have the ability to reduce the spread of the virus in our city.
The only people I like on the psych ward
reports
is people cleaning
200
the
deaths
floors
from
and garbage.
COVID-19. Doug Ford addresses concerns of testing shortages despite claims the province isn't testing near its capacity.
Toronto police say they have nabbed a thief after he became trapped on the roof of a home he was breaking into.
UFC 249 is officially postponed. Sports at 45.
Ham and lamb sell off. Prices for Easter staples suffering from life under lockdown. Investors gobble up.
Good. Bring the price of the ham and the lamb down a little more, and I will take it all off your hands.
This report is brought to you by Lowe's. We've got some stolen vehicles affecting the highways right now. Some construction here and there, nothing too serious, but the stolen vehicles are on the eastbound 401 through Mississauga Road, with the right lane blocked in this area because of a stolen vehicle, but no delay there. By the way, you're also reduced to 2 lanes from 4 as you travel through Dufferin towards the Allen in the express lanes. So East 401 Dufferin over towards the Allen, 2 left lanes are blocked in the express. The other stolen vehicle, in fact, there's 2 more. Northbound 427 north of Dundas on the transfer into the express. 2 left lanes are blocked at the start of the transfer with a stolen vehicle, but you can't still squeeze past it. And we've got on the eastbound 403 on the ramp to Mavis, stolen fuel truck.
All these watch parties
now being put on the back of a foot being hooked up to a heavy tow, so it should be out of here shortly. It's already up on the hook, it looks like. Off the highways, nothing serious either. Watch out for this TTC track work at King and Shaw that's reducing east and westbound lanes to a single lane. At Lowe's, we're always here to help, and even more so in times of uncertainty. Our website is available 24/7 to deliver the tools and materials you need, lowes.ca. Your next report at 8:41, and with the forecast, here's Natasha Ramsahai.
This evening and overnight tonight, we're going to have rain switching over to wet flurries. Could even see some ice pellets during that changeover. This is going to be, again, late evening and overnight tonight, and waking up to trace to a centimeter or 2 of accumulation, especially outside of the downtown core. We'll also wake up to wind chills near -6 the afternoon, getting into some sun with a high of 6 degrees, still windy out of the northwest. Tonight, we're down to a low of 0 degrees.
Downtown Toronto this hour, partly cloudy, and 680 news time, 8:33.
Ontario has seen its first death of a healthcare worker related to the virus, a Brampton man in his 50s.
680's Michelle Mackey joins us with the word he likely did not contract COVID at work.
The healthcare worker was a longtime member of the cleaning staff at Brampton Civic Hospital. Dr. Brooks Follis, medical director of critical care with William Osler, says the patient was a family man with no underlying health conditions.
Someone who went to work and lived at home with his family and had no medical concerns
of note prior to coming in contact with COVID-19.
And an investigation has revealed the man did not contract the virus at the hospital where he worked.
He developed
How do they know that?
He was actually swabbed and diagnosed with COVID-19 in the community. And then he was admitted to the hospital on March 27th.
He died in ICU, and health officials say anyone he may have come into contact with while working was contacted and told to self-isolate several weeks ago. I'm Michelle Mackey. Meantime, Toronto's Chief Medical Officer of Health says the fatal impact of COVID-19 on our loved ones in long-term care is becoming painfully clear. At Seven Oaks in Scarborough alone, there have been 16 virus-related deaths. 680's Phil Martino joins us live now with the latest. Phil.
Christine, Dr. Eileen Davila says she's often asked, how do COVID-19 outbreaks happen in our long-term care homes?
One way or another, COVID-19 gets into long-term care homes through people.
God,
This
thank
includes
you.
the people who
Sure it
visit
wasn't
long-term
a
care
tiger?
homes and the people who work there. Now, Davila says long-term care home workers are at risk, and we have to keep them safe too. She stresses our best line of defense is to slow down the spread of the virus in our community, and that means staying at home as much as possible. And when you do go out, practice physical distancing. There are now 1,769 confirmed and probable cases of COVID-19 in Toronto, and there have been 54 virus-related deaths. Phil Martino, 680 News.
680 News time, 8:35. As more cases of COVID-19 service here in Ontario and now 200 deaths, we are learning assessment centers are turning away patients with symptoms because they don't have enough testing swabs. 680 Stuart McGinn joins us with the story and reaction from the Ford government.
Ontario has now recorded 200 deaths from COVID-19, and with nearly 500 new cases, the province's total is now at 5,759. But today, claims from Premier Doug Ford that the province is nowhere near its limit when it comes to testing people are being challenged.
Looking down the street at some of the assessment centers, for one reason or another, the volume hasn't been there.
The Premier confirming reports that because of supply shortages, some people have even been turned away from those centers. But Ford still says they want to test as many people as possible, and anyone showing symptoms should be able to find out whether or not they've contracted COVID-19. The newest data shows 4,100 people in the province were tested yesterday, but the Premier said there's capacity to perform up to 13,000 tests a day. I'm Stuart McGinn.
Meantime, Premier Ford wants the province ready for economic recovery when the time comes and has launched a new Ontario Jobs and Recovery Committee to do just that. 680's Mark Douglas joins us with those details.
Premier Doug Ford calls the loss of more than 400,000 jobs in Ontario because of COVID-19 a punch in the gut.
Sadly, these numbers are just the tip of the iceberg.
And so he has put together the Ontario Jobs and Recovery Committee. Its task, save the economy after the crisis.
We have the greatest province, the greatest people, the brightest people in the entire world. And that's why I'm so confident when we get through this, we're going to get the economy going. We're going to just light that match and ignite a fire, the likes of which this province has never seen before.
But Ford says the measures that are hurting businesses, like physical distancing and closing non-essential stores, those have to be maintained for now because they are saving lives. This new committee is made up of 13 politicians, all of them from Ford's own cabinet and party. I'm Mark Douglas.
Federal health officials have now released their projections for the COVID-19 pandemic across the country. The dire numbers suggesting tens of thousands will likely die, and the figures could be worse or better, depending on the actions of Canadians.
The dire projection from the Public Health Agency shows the most likely scenario is that between 11 and 22,000 people will die in the coming months of COVID-19. And that's if our strong public controls stay as they are. However, Chief Public Health Officer Dr. Teresa Tam stresses we can change the trajectory of this pandemic.
All Canadians who are practicing physical distancing will ultimately determine whether we can remain in this best case scenario.
They won't do it. They want to spread the disease. They want to live like bats and rats.
Every death that we can.
In the absolute best scenario, there could be a little over 4,500 deaths, but if we weaken controls, the death toll could rise to the hundreds of thousands.
But we're at a fork in the road between the best and the worst possible outcomes.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says these numbers show physical distancing rules will be in place for a while.
It will take months
of continued determined effort.
The pandemic could peak late
Yeah,
spring
because
or
it's
early
just common
summer.
knowledge
After
how
that,
long
the
it
Prime
takes to
Minister
get rid
says
of
we
a
can
virus,
gradually
right?
start
It'll just
resuming
go
more
away,
economic
right?
activities. Cormac McSweeney, Parliament Hill.
The COVID-19 related death toll at a Bob Cajun nursing home has now hit.
Ebola's been around 50 years. They still don't know where it's coming from.
Resident passed away.
This will just go away. It'll
Nearly
just
half
go
of the
away.
residents of the 65-bed facility have died since an outbreak was declared a month ago. It's the largest outbreak in a nursing home in Ontario. Coming up in 30 seconds, we'll take a look at gas prices.
680 News Time, 8:39.
My name is Aaron Waxman, and in times of uncertainty, we can take solace in the fact that those that we care about, our family, our friends, and those in our community are safe and are practicing physical distancing and staying at home. At my firm, I've encouraged staff to work from home and to follow the guidelines to staying
Pretty
safe.
appropriate
I know these are
spacing
difficult
or
times,
etiquette.
but we can take this
Just
moment to
basic
reflect on how
etiquette.
much we have to be grateful for. I wish you and your family only peace and good health.
Now the 680 News gas price update, and Pro predicts the price will not change.
Python, King Cobra, can knock the scales off a python. Creeping through your crib, you better sleep with the lights on. Nightmares is always seen, stepping out the front door. The black was a war zone, what you think I keep a gun for? Try to battle me and my team, nigga, you done for. Proud to get this, that's for the young boy on the pump score. Drive my nigga, just drive, get on it right now. No gloves when you done, give the eyes a wipe down. All day I dream of those straps, we got stripes now, but don't get ahead of yourself. They knock your lights out.
Shout out to my DJ's pod too, but 1995, you know what I'm saying? And I'm finna keep some freestyle bump, you know what I'm saying? Kicking it with my nigga MC Spade, Mr. K, Lil West, you know what I'm saying? We finna bump like this here, so check it out.
Step to MC Spade, but don't understand. Pimping from the south, deeply rooted with a master plan. Motherfuckers try my patience, but don't know what's up. Grab the grenade, pop the pin, blow them hoes up. Making sure I'm leaving all them motherfuckers in the ditch. Let them know that MC Spade ain't to be fucked with. I be coming hard for you niggas who didn't know I could reach. For your 9 play dumb, nigga, I wish you would. Cause I'm finna hit you in your chest and knock the wind out. Say something smart and I'ma have to take your ass out. Get that nigga 9 on my fucking hip. Reach for my left, grab my clip, cause I can't slip.
Smoking on some thing while I sip on a plane of yak with my niggas size hell off that back, chronic sack, ride through the park, blowing Dixie while I'm cheaping, man. Bitches looking at me cause they know a nigga blind clean. In that colors thing, I pop them hammers and then I stop the same. Niggas get chased cause they looking at me like they me. But I got that 4-5 Glock resting on the side of me. For a buster ass nigga thinking he be on the creek, making cheese every day. Yeah, this shit gon' keep on stacking they on another bitch. Cause I'm packing with you niggas.
Bastard sticks. Little tiny bastard sticks.
It don't matter cause the image coming in, making my pockets fat. I'll stop at the liquor store. Get a bill for tango break, cut up a switch of sweet.
Oh yeah, line up at the grocery store. Why? Because everybody wants to go to the grocery shopping at 6 o'clock on the last business day.
It's the West Max smoking.
Line up at the bear store, same reason. Line up at the dollar store,
on the
same
joke track with my nigga.
The dollar store line is moving the fastest.
After sale, then we bail. Headed to the mall, much clientele. Then we bail to the silence. See what bitches doing tonight. High as a kite, watch your step, pimpins tight. Roaming through the door, cold, breathing slow as we stroll. Hoping nobody's scoping me. Watching for DJ ACD with with the Glock is popping, man, yo, punk is to the block. That's what you get when you fucking with niggas. It's drilling to the bitch, shit, your ass can't test me. Come and see what I got to flip in my 9 spot. Take your ass straight to the whole spot. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, hell, bitch. Low Western drop the fucking empty clips in my chamber. Shit, what should I do? Never let the niggas know. Shout the pimp, don't keep it scoop. Tell me straight up on it now. Trying to think of something tricky. If I make it to my ride, pass the love that nigga quick. Tap him out that running fast, but a nigga just can't slack. Till I make it to my shit. If I'm hit, I'm coming back. Open up my door, grab my 9 from my point. 6 shots are coming quickly, so that Nina gotta protect me. Back a motherfucker, you done skipped with the wrong nigga. Now you got the answer to my motherfucking wrong trigger. I'ma handle bitches, you can't fuck with the shout and give.
I did not technically line up. There was one person standing there, and I stood behind them, and that would technically form a line. But then they went inside, and there was no more line. That's not lining up. I didn't wait. If I had had a cigarette, I would have waited longer. These people look so desperate. They're all 6 feet apart.
I'm ready now.
They gotta get their beer and their groceries. How the fuck is this holiday so important to you? You didn't buy your groceries before. Important holiday.
Yo, from a young one up, first go fuck. Ghetto yo, mom's no luck. Pops don't project, brought me up. Cops call new, always hung up. Taught me street laws before you get up. Stay true to all your homies and cuffs. Walk alone if you must. Top low, rolling streets, watch up. From the hood, hungry seeds, clean spots up. Need things, ain't got much. Learn street game, house name bucks. Bloody money staying with us. Study games and bucks. Stuff with these one and few I trust. Street nigga, no bluff. Know the street close up. Henry reads so much. Enemies, no love, just more slugs. Likewise, that old judge who's holding thugs. Mentally just molding thugs. Unjust, I know I'm thug. Before I fold, I suggest I just blow my mug. Wide open, die open. Stuck in cold blood.
Yeah, never thugs. Killing time with slugs. Pros online with drugs. I'll die for my blood. Thread butters and floods. All for the love of the TV fan. Tell the region kings. Spit through high winds. The frost of ice out your brains. We're the ones to blame for starting shit again. If you ever in on the park attention in the wild, don't stop to top. Just listen, we got a vision. The exact opposite of niggas bitching. We different, bitching niggas. Finger force triggers until the pussy's wet, bleeding and upset. Sexually harassed, fuck fat in the project. Till I rest with the best relief from stress and beef. Who die for the ends beneath the streets is deep. Now creep reminds me of life itself. Either you lost or there was doubt. Until then.
Yo, we all thugs, been thugs, gon' stay thugs. Maintain and stay in lock with them chain thugs. Dedication niggas drop, them same thugs. Representing for the block, that's where we came from, we all thugs. Been thugs, gon' stay thugs. And stop, a nigga showed you love.
Stats and I spend, I no longer land. Cause I don't trust none of my broke friends. They hoes broke a man, real low. I'd rather gamble my dough. You can see the window back, the center with finals. $50 a roll, some code says so. Point blank, it's all bank, your money ain't valid here. Y2K's here, don't fear no nigga, never did. In the 23 years that I lived, going through hell, chop and sell, shining like hell. We hugged the park tighter than Don jail. My brother just got failed, for real. Trouble how you feel, welcome home until I'm gone. The ink sinks deep in my flesh, just like a song. It's like a triathlon, the block or wrong. 3 dogs running out shots and running the cops. He wasn't properly tied, the 12 properly tied, with food in his mouth to get out without the help of it. My love to the thugs that soldiered it out.
Like that OG Bobby was, life was mostly close scenes, homie found with snugs. Shout out, ain't got up, block stays hot, that's the project. Niggas stay high like them coppers. Yo, who watching who ain't the topic. Bitch just down the body profit. Ain't to the top yet, think the food players say get off it. Fuck the kids hot to it before I
from COVID was quite a bit higher. But he says there's multiple reasons that could. I'm Omen Karachi.
Mayor John Tory is hoping everyone has a good Easter long weekend. Who's not to be aware of the fact that the parks are closed and the physical distancing measures exist. Just yesterday alone, bylaw officers spoke to almost 1,000 people.
I understand that those bylaw officers did receive a lot of positive feedback from the public for being out in the parks working, and I want to thank the vast majority of people for continuing to follow the rules, for being kind to each other, and for being kind, as we would expect, to the enforcement officers who are out there just doing their job, and they're doing it for you and for your families and for our collective health and well-being.
Stay out of the fucking parks.
Ignoring the physical distancing advice, Tory points to groups of dog owners who were hanging out at Sunnybrook, Sherwood, and Riverdale parks yesterday. Bylaw enforcement officers issued 15 tickets yesterday. And a doctor who contracted COVID-19 and beat it is now back to work in New York.
Cheers from his colleagues after Dr. Paul Saunders returned to Maimonides Medical Center in Brooklyn, New York, recovered after contracting COVID-19. Dr. Saunders back on the floor making his rounds, treating the sickest coronavirus patients.
Thank you very much. Totally unexpected and undeserved, but thank you all for coming to work and for working so hard and all the time. So, all appreciated by everybody, but thank you very much.
A vascular surgeon, Dr. Saunders is trained in a specialized blood filtering procedure that's the last best chance for severely ill patients. Dave Packer, ABC News.
That's a great story. Coming up, traffic and weather together on the one.
You really tell us one of the
Insurance
story.
with
You were sick, and now he's not.
The company says they will reduce rates in the wake of the pandemic. That story up next. 680 News Time, 8:50. It's a challenging time out there, and it's imperative that we keep each other safe. That's why John's Garage Doors is
yo, I just moving wrong but right. If I do it, best to give them the seat. Been proven, street life shit. Student, new to the game. Learn quick, move with the game. Now earning chips, proving this game. Still fronting niggas, truth as I made it. Fucking hating, faggot niggas talk war stories, ain't engaged.
You cut heads off, you wear this because in the same clock. You was playing Game Boy, niggas was playing Game Gods. Niggas smelling rock on your block with a chain on just to get hit up, can't make it. Like Trayvon, just stay calm. Niggas got gay on with stove top, metal like crayons, turning them heat rays on. They paid on, that's precious more. I think only wanted 2 houses for purchase for. You know we only wanted new houses that's on the shore. But my lawyer gotta study evidence in the court. 2-3 sport in the court, playing these greasy loops. After every time I shoot, that ski mask turn to a choke. Still running that nation, that domination for Rook. P89 and that barrel slide is too cute. Hit up in the dome when he tried ducking. Still better than just standing there and trying nothing. Kill them little pups, I'm a G-dog. I have him in the streets playing leapfrog. American muscle over a Tesla. Pulling up the bulldog is burnt like a Presla. Let me tell you how I feel. You niggas ain't real. I shot at your food like a meal. Let me tell you how I feel. You niggas ain't real. I shot at your food like a meal.
Hold on, let me get some pimpin'. Fuck you think you do it. I pull up in the Buick. Blasting this music. You know how we do it. Like Montel Jordan. These Jordans. All these bitches is swarming. Still I ignore. So all these girls boring. Anytime I come through, making girls get abortion. Shirley, you know me. Rolling in a Harley with shorty. I just hope you got the 40. 20 niggas in their clothing, that's what we learn. You should hear the arrogant names these niggas from calling. And that bitch was on clock. Before Asian or Dream, we had a battery dog. Fuck them all. Middle fingers for law. Wing with the blast and blah. Hopping out of a car. I was asking them what's up with the top. Passerby's ass police, what's up with the chalk? Another body, just another day. You acting like you ain't even know the war was underway. That's when we hit you from a blind side. Sitting in the jail and even thinking how the time flies. Let me tell you how I feel. You niggas ain't real. I shot at your food like a meal. Let me tell you how I feel. You niggas ain't real. I shot at your food like a meal. I know the fact they were finished, they came with 3 rounds. Straight up out of G-Town. Streets going eastbound. They used to talk about all these niggas, they know what's coming. Package the cock across the border, the time we reap. F-14, she just knows. AR Paisley, Trey Parks be the hardest up in these streets now. Best not trespass here, baby, just keep out. We ain't fucking around with the steering if we gon' wheel out. You ain't got the metaphor, nigga, that's when that skill out. Big clock, big shot, knocking all of your teeth out. By now you know that y'all got heat. They got no bars, but I got beats. Trap music.
What you really know, I got all the snow. Come right off the boat, come right off the boat. Come right off the boat, come right off the boat. This year you already know. I feel like I've been the GOAT. I know I can hold my own. I know I can hold my own. All I know is I'm cruising down the highway.
One time when I was a lot younger, I was living on the street, and this some sort of infection went around the whole circle of people. And when it got to me and other people had gotten better, and they saw how sick I was, they said, "Come on, you're coming to the hospital." I'm like, "No." They said, "Yeah." I said, "Fine." And they dragged me to the hospital. And when the doctor looks at my throat, he says, "If you had waited another 24 hours, your throat would have swelled up and you would have just stopped breathing. You would have suffocated." I'm used to fucking respiratory problems. Gas leaks, molds, mildews, everything. Acute chest syndrome. Oh yeah, sickle cell comes with its own fucking respiratory problems. Fucking, I'm gonna smoke my way right through it like I always do. I'm gonna cough all this shit out and get all the oxygen in. Fuck you and your virus.
They never lived it. I've been gunning for them 7 digits. Came back with a better vision. I ain't never switching. I'ma get this chicken. Crime pays, that's my way. Try to tell them, but they never listen. Fuck the ops, fuck the cops. I'ma make a millions when a Merry Christmas. I've been on it since Dipset. Now they wanna get their lips wet. All these bitches used to try to swear me, now I'm flexing on them with this pimp set. All I know that crime pays. I'ma get it one day. I'm cruising down the highway. All I know that crime pays. Get them money 5 ways. I'm cruising down the highway. I'ma get it one day. All I know that crime pays. I'ma get it one day. I'm cruising down the highway. All I know that crime pays. Get them money 5 ways. I'm cruising down the highway. I'ma get it one day. If I die before I wake, pray the Lord my soul to take. If I die before I wake, pray the Lord my soul to take. I can't sleep, these nightmares are real. Gotta keep both hands on the wheel.
It's up 230 points today. It's about 14,100. And Bay Street was up 7% on the week. Wall Street was up 12% on the week. Best week for the S&P since 1974. And the Dow up 285 points today, 23,719. Oil down to $22.76. Canadian dollar 71.93 cents US. This is 680 News.
Something to watch? Get your way to boredom with City TV now. Where would you like to go? Full seasons of the shows you love. Streaming now and ready to go. I'm pregnant. Sure it's yours? I got a fire in there. From Chicago Wednesday to Family Guy, Modern Family to Mom, we've got what you're looking for. The non-fitted Rex. Good boy. City TV now. On demand. The City TV app. And at citytv.com. Get it like now. We're two men and a truck. So, you're moving to a new home, and all that's left to do is to call a mover you know you can trust. Well, naturally, you think two men and a truck, since you know we have lots of men and lots of trucks. They'll wrap, pack, and move everything you want. With a 96% referral rating and the professionalism you can trust, the choice is simple. For a free in-home estimate, call today. We're two men and a truck. We're open for business. Two men and a truck, the movers who care.
680 News Time, 9 o'clock.
On for breaking news, traffic, and weather. This is 680 News, Toronto.
Here are Scott Burnett and Christine Ritchie.
Good evening, this is Thursday, April 9th.
Here's what's making news this hour.
An employee at Brampton Civic Hospital marks Ontario's first healthcare worker death from COVID-19. The man in his 50s likely contracted the virus from community spread, not work.
The city is working to bring COVID-19 outbreaks at long-term care homes under control, and our top doctor is urging Torontonians to get on board and help fight the spread of the virus.
Another milestone marked when it comes to fatalities in Ontario from COVID-19 as the province sees a shortage in testing supplies a day after claims way more people should be getting tested. The Ford government wants to save Ontario's economy, but we have to get past the coronavirus first.
The timing of the recovery phase will be informed by the advice of medical experts.
Hopes of a UFC 249 are dashed. Sports at 15.
Best week in decades for Wall Street. The S&P up almost 12%. TSX closes out a big winning 4 days as well. And
worst quarter since the 30s, but it's the best week in decades.
Traffic and weather together on the ones. Here's this report brought to you by Ruth's Chris Steakhouse.
No, you just lost
we had
$1 million.
3 stolen vehicles in the last report. Now we have 0. 2 of them cleared in that last report. The one on the East 401 through Mississauga Road Express, and the run on the eastbound 403 on the ramp to Mavis, both gone. And then the last one just cleared, northbound 427 north of Dundas. The transfer to the express now fully cleared of that stalled vehicle. So finally, trouble-free. Plenty of construction here and there. Let's go back to the eastbound 401 because we have maintenance going on through the 407 in the Milton area, the right lane closed. And then approaching Dufferin to the Allen in the express, 2 left lanes are blocked. And through Victoria Park in the express. Crews getting ready to block off 2 left lanes here as well. A couple of spots on the west 401 and Kennedy in the collectors, 2 left lanes closed. And then west of the 427 in the collectors, right by Renforth, we've got 3 right lanes now being closed off by the MTO. There are ramp closures on the 403 in Hamilton. Eastbound Aberdeen and eastbound Main ramps to the east 403 have been shut down for some overnight maintenance. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse would like to wish their guests the very best at this difficult time and also remind you to takeout and delivery service are now available online. Place your order at ruthschris.ca. Your next report at 9:11, and with the forecast, here's Natasha Ranzahai.
Well, winter's not done with us just yet. We've got some lake effect flurries tonight with gusty northwest winds continuing. Could see trace to a centimeter or 2 of accumulation, especially outside of the downtown core.
2 centimeters of
higher
snow.
Elevations will wake up to 0 degrees, wind chill -6. Once those flurries are done in the morning, it'll be a partly cloudy afternoon. Still windy out of the northwest with a high of 6 degrees. Tonight we're down to a low of 0. And right now we're sitting at 6 degrees with a partly cloudy sky. We have wind gusts up to 43 kilometers an hour. 680 News Time, 9:03.
You get to St. Patrick's Day to the Civic passport is
believe this case is the province's first coronavirus-related death of a healthcare worker.
680's Michelle Mackey joins us with more details.
The healthcare worker, a Brampton man in his 50s, died this morning in the intensive care unit of Brampton Civic, the hospital where he was a longtime member of the cleaning staff. Dr. Brooks Follis, Director of Critical Care with William Osler, says the patient had no underlying health conditions.
This was a healthy individual who had no known medical problems.
Dr. Lawrence Lowe, medical officer with Peel Public Health, says the man was diagnosed with COVID-19 on March 20th, and an investigation revealed he did not contract the virus from the hospital.
And in the course of our assessment, we did not determine a hospital source.
Dr. Lowe says everyone he came into contact with, both in and outside of the hospital, was contacted and told to self-isolate when he was first diagnosed 2 weeks ago. I'm Michelle Mackey.
Well, if you have a parent, relative, or a friend at a long-term care home here in Toronto, you know it's been a tough week as COVID-19 has torn through those care homes. But as 680's Phil Martino reports, health officials are optimistic about reducing the spread. She joins us live with the latest. Phil.
Scott, Dr. Eileen Davila says one way or another, COVID-19 gets into long-term care homes through people. This includes people who visit and people who work there.
It is important to remember that COVID-19 is new. And in fact, the virus was only discovered 3 months ago. So all around the world, we are still learning how to slow this virus down and how to prevent further spread in settings like our long-term care homes.
She says the most important way is through physical distancing.
One of the first measures, and in many ways the most difficult, was stopping family and friends from visiting their loved ones in long-term care homes. This was a critical step to reducing the chance of visitors inadvertently bringing the virus into these settings, as unfortunately has happened in some of our long-term care homes.
Davila says the workers at those long-term care homes, they're at risk and we have to keep them safe. She stresses our best line of defense is to slow down the spread of the virus. And that means staying at home as much as possible. And when you do go out, practice physical distancing. There are now 1,769 confirmed and probable cases of COVID-19 in Toronto, and there have been 54 virus-related deaths.
COVID.
Phil Martino, 680 News.
Meantime, Ontario has now recorded its 200th death from the virus, and there are now almost 6,000 confirmed cases. 680 Stuart McGinn joins us with word some people are being turned away from assessment centres due to a lack of testing swabs.
The steady climb continues. The province now recording 200 deaths and a total of 5,759 cases of COVID-19. But in his daily address, Doug Ford was asked about reports of a shortage of testing supplies across some of Ontario's assessment centres.
I think if they go in, they should be able to get tested. We want to test as many people as possible because we've seen the countries that have tested more people, they've been able to slow the spread and flatten the curve.
Regarding the shortage, Ford didn't provide any details other than to say some centres have, for one reason or another, had less volumes of equipment, but it has led to some people, even with symptoms, actually getting turned away. Ford has said the province has the capacity to test up to 13,000 people daily. Just 4,100 people were tested yesterday. Data released tomorrow will show whether those numbers are growing by any substantial amount. I'm Stuart McGinn. Meantime, the Premier is also looking ahead at the road ahead. Doug Ford announcing the creation of the Ontario Jobs and Recovery Committee. Doug Ford says the 400,000 jobs lost in Ontario because of COVID-19
are a punch in the gut.
And the Premier wants to do something about it.
I am so confident in the people of Ontario that we can unleash businesses and people, and they're just going to thrive once again, and we will get there.
Ford has announced the creation of the Ontario Jobs and Recovery
Where are the
Committee.
coffee trucks,
He says
Mr.
for
Ford?
now, the measures to fight the coronavirus, like physical distancing and closing non-essential businesses, even though it's bad for business,
orders
those
a load on
measures
the
have
block.
to stay. Minister of Finance Rod Phillips agrees.
The timing of the recovery phase will be informed by the advice of medical experts
Oh, I
and the
have
best
some.
practices
Never
from
mind.
other jurisdictions hit by COVID-19 earlier than Ontario.
Phillips will be one of 13 members on this new committee. Every member is either one of Ford's cabinet ministers or a top-ranking politician from his own party. I'm Mark Douglas.
No hockey, no basketball, no baseball, no soccer, no football. But Toronto sports teams are still doing their part to fight the COVID-19 health crisis. The city has teamed up with the Leafs, Raptors, Blue Jays, Toronto FC, and Argos to promote the stay-at-home message. The hashtag StayHomeTO video launched today on social media with appearances by several big-name athletes.
Now is the time for Toronto to come together by staying home. For our parks and arenas and streets to go quiet, to stay apart.
And help those working on the front lines. The video highlights two Torontos, the current city of empty, eerie streets and closed playgrounds, and the Toronto we know and love, with flashbacks to the Raptors NBA Championship Rally, the Caribbean Festival Parade, the World Series Championship, and so on. And you can watch the entire video at 680news.com.
Coming up in 30 seconds. We'll check on the votes.
680 News Time 909.
This is 680 News.
Hi, I'm Sherry Tabb, co-founder of the Herzig Eye Institute. Our eyes play such an important role in the spread and prevention of COVID-19. Avoid touching your eyes.
The 680 News gas price update, and Pro predicting the price at the pumps is going to stay the same at 77.9 cents a liter. 60 seconds. 680 News
Sweeping up with a broom, run it down, run it down, run it down, double cup, double cup, double cup. So I got a couple racks today. Didn't think I'd make it, but I made it back today. Cashing out under the bank every day. Put in work, get paid. Where my niggas at? Fucking Friday night, where the fuck is everybody? I just wanna party, like I won the lottery. Fucking Friday night, where the fuck is everybody? I just wanna party, like I won the lottery. I just wanna party, like I won the lottery. I just wanna party, like I won the lottery. Fucking Friday night, where the fuck is everybody? I just wanna party, like I won the lottery. Just got off the plane, juice all in my veins, 6 buzzing my name, no one on these flames. Fucking Friday night, I ain't playing no games. I'm that West End chick that was raised in the lane. And yeah, you won't believe, pay up, just raise the fee. They calling, but they can't get a hold of me. This beats on Friday, BET, raise the bar for the scene. If the work ain't clean, don't come for me. They show up before, but they don't wanna come around. I'ma ride this way, till the water run out. I'ma spark this place, till the fire burn out. I'm up before, but I'm not done now. Fucking Friday night, where the fuck is everybody? I just wanna party, like I won the lottery. Fucking Friday night, where the fuck is everybody? I just wanna party, like I won the lottery. I just wanna party, like I won the lottery. I just wanna party, like I won the lottery. Fucking Friday night, where the fuck is everybody? I just wanna party, like I won the lottery.
Nah, they couldn't just start 6, like, no?
Yeah. What was that, man?
Said that I'ma get that spinach. I be sinning, I'm winning. They don't like it, yeah, I bet. I see the pain in their heart and their chest. Why she said that I'ma get that spinach. I be sinning, I'm winning. They don't like it, yeah, I bet. I see the pain in their heart and their chest. I love the rain when it falls, yeah, I'm blessed. Fuck the fame and the cars and the jets. I had them thinking I was gone to the psych ward. I never left to live the life you would die for. Hell, I can't save her, I'm no lifeguard. Maybe you can get the G, but I might charge. Pull up to the spot, they're like, who is that there? Hands up, give me the loot like a cashier. What you thought, are you dumb? I don't play shit. I'll kill you and your brother with the same clip. All that bullshit you been talking, boys, ain't you? I'm a different man now, leave your faceless. Why she said it, I'ma get that spinach. I be sinning, I'm winning. They don't like it, yeah, I bet. I see the pain in their heart and their chest. Why she said it, I'ma get that spinach. I be sinning, I'm winning. They don't like it, yeah, I bet. I see the pain in their heart and their chest. Yo, versus spot, then I'm leaving unidentified. Just a rental, had to drop it off at
my enterprise. Shell cases in the whip, had to check it twice. I think my OGs for that shit, they give good advice. Yeah, this about to be a genocide. These motherfuckers will be dead, but I can never die. I'm the reason why your wife said she met a guy. 2 minutes in a swisher just to get inside. Yeah, we are not the same kind. You gotta pay dues, I already paid twice. Y'all don't make moves, all you do is waste time. I'ma always be woke while you haters stay. Watch you said it, I'ma get that spinach. I be sinning, I'm winning. They don't like it, yeah, I bet. I see the pain in their heart and their chest. Watch you said it, I'ma get that spinach. I be sinning, I'm winning. They don't like it, yeah, I bet. I see the pain in their heart and their chest.
I bet that window's gonna be all fucked up if I leave it open.
Hello, this call is from the tech.
Hey, yeah, the heartfelt shit, yeah, the heartfelt shit, check it. These days I'm on empty, so don't fuck with them, yo. I'ma make it there eventually. It's these cruel intentions, not to mention got me clenching. My chest hurt from the stress. These days I'm venting. Poetry healing these wounds that I once contained. Serenity felt fed off these raps that I bring. These words help me escape. I say fuck a therapist. I hate mankind. I'm against all like a terrorist. In the arms of security, stolen away. Death stealing loved ones, led my soul astray. Reflect my past, so you see this life's been good. Chose correctly, even when pressured by the hood. I put my hands on steel, coke, the rock, and the slates before the wake, cause I didn't need my life to be in decay. Some say it's the choices you make, and they do seal your fate. Either you're dead, one in the head, or in jail you pace. Reflection and regret in your course of fucking action. Cut off sin, ego when you're loving your passion. Infractions you've said, melted your soul down to nothing less. A shell of life patiently waiting for the time of death. I made choices that have been good, ones that have been bad. You see how I'm living, so you know that I'm glad. I'm proud to say I'm steady and my life is set. I live like there's no tomorrow or never hold regrets, so don't hold your breath. Yeah, I never hold regrets, so don't hold your breath. Yeah. These days I'm on empty, so don't fucking tempt me. I'ma make it there eventually. These days I'm on empty, so don't fucking tempt me. I'ma make it there eventually. These days I'm on empty, so don't fucking tempt me. I'ma make it there eventually. These days I'm on empty, so don't fucking tempt me. I'ma make it there eventually.
Sometimes I wonder if we're on the right path, because if time is money, we're backwards in math. But there's something about my staff I can't put my finger on. Even when they're gone, the feeling lingers on. Before I know it rains at the break of dawn. We got this belief that won't let us stop. Everywhere we go, we're always getting props. Anyone that's heard us know we're going to the top, but we're not there yet. It's not a sure bet. No matter how this ends, I got no regrets. The first time I heard myself was on the net. People can't wait to see me on their TV sets. I got dreams of jets and feeding my family. Could this be preposterous? Thoughts about Grammys? What if it's not my fate, even though I flow uncanny? Am I supposed to force my way in? All guns blazing? Should I be selling drugs at the days in? Instead of writing verses at home on my days in? Now I'm in my living room pacing, joints and casing. More than anything, I want this for my wife. More than anything, I want this for my family's life. To roll up a dice, I mean, it's all the chance. So I stay my battle stance, waiting to take over the lands. If you feel what I'm saying, please wave your hands.
These days I'm on empty, so don't fucking tempt me. I'ma make it there eventually. These days I'm on empty, so don't fucking tempt me. I'ma make it there eventually. These days I'm on empty, so don't fucking tempt me. I'ma make it there eventually. These days I'm on empty, so don't fucking tempt me. I'ma make it there eventually.
I like the way the microphone looks upon this stand. I like the way the microphone feels inside my hand. It feels like I've finally been let out of my cage. To this microphone, I begin to let out my rage. People coming up to me, they're trying to say, you can't be an MC, so move out the way. But I step up, cause I always stand my ground. I would take a fucking bullet for this life I have found. Yeah, the ecstasy I get when I'm about to spit is like what you get from the shaman in the derelict. I don't treat my rhymes like a hoe treats a trick. Another dollar from another fucking dick. I've opened up my mind and I learned to use my heart. But this world is like a grinder, said he tearing me apart. But I'm like T-1000 molding back into one. Using this microphone like I'd use a gun. Shot so loud, heard from Newfoundland to BC. Flooding your mind with the records from Game Green. Taking over this underground scene. People screaming out C-K-R-E-T. I know that I can make it if I only believe. Because living my life, it's like living a dream. I wake up tomorrow and things aren't what they seem. But I know that I can make it, I know that I'll succeed.
These days I'm on empty, so don't fucking tempt me. I'ma make it there eventually. These days I'm on empty, so don't fucking tempt me. I'ma make it there eventually. These days I'm on empty, so don't fucking tempt me. I'ma make it there eventually. These days I'm on empty, so don't fucking tempt me. I'ma make it there eventually.
But some counties in California are not happy about them being given out. A few counties here in California have expressed anger at Governor Gavin Newsom for loaning ventilators to states like Nevada, New York, New Jersey, and Maryland. Those California counties claim they're having a tough time getting ventilators, but Newsom says only 32% of California's ventilators are being used right now, and that those counties should have no problem getting them. He says it's about saving lives elsewhere.
We can't just sit on assets when we can save lives and help our fellow Americans.
Alex Stone, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Coming up in 60 seconds, traffic and your extended forecast. 680 News Time 920.
It's one big prize after another in the Princess Margaret Home Lottery. The incredible $6.8 million grand prize.
Holy shit. This is not evil. Cyrus!
¿Sabes que somos los duros?
Siempre activo la llega. Un papalón. ¿Me entiendes? Yeah, motherfucker, super neck, man. Snack motherfucking daddy, nigga. Experience going up, nigga. Oh, yeah. I just took a blast of booty down before I wrote this shit so I could better exhibit to niggas with cokies. You niggas is miserable and hopeless. I don't fuck with you jokers. You look in my eyes and you can tell that I'm focused. Staying up late night with the smokers. 7 ounces on the chokers. Hypnosis, jacuzzi, water, soakers. Loud. Beat you like a piñata. My niggas shooters not the type to put the fire to the cuchara. On the run from La Jara, Lo Mono, La Poli, Lo Puerco, the pig of the pole, the minute the one time trying to lock me for dumb crime. Show up at the bar where I unwind, nigga play their gun reflecting the sunshine. Happy to this life that they put the buttercup. Open up a little boutique and they assume it's a cover up. Naturally, half-fashionally, toss a couple drops of water in the work and watch it define gravity. Bougie women call me your majesty. Accurately slash the key in half and bring the pack with me on the trapping spree sauce. When I used to shit my dream, these niggas would laugh at me. Now they watching son dancing like Bush Cassidy. I'm on top of the game. Feed a shorty couple dunkers and watch her hop on the plane. Feel the cool breeze that come before the tropical rain. Mixing the shoulder, drop it in the flame, and then I chop it for change. Unexpected, come on, break your heart. Yeah, these niggas is mad, they couldn't make it smart. Couldn't believe a little guppy ate the sharks. Unexpected, come on, and break your heart. Niggas is mad, they couldn't make a spark. Couldn't believe it, the little guppy ate the shark. I had to laugh at niggas. I hate to use the N-word, cool dope for hope, cause I've been broke. We chopping up the coke. We got the block rocking like the rope. They lock when we chopping like it's soap. The fiends be on the floor. And if a nigga diss, grab the rope. We jump real high, suicide. The left is how the homies ride. Time for phony lies. Lines be like genocide. A renegade.
Lemons to lemonade, forgive me for my sinning. Drug dealing, fly Lennox, Latin women. Medellin, this is Ochoa's return. But will these fuck boys ever learn? If it ever be my turn. Stack chicks, never let it burn. Slicker than your wig on a perm. Make it never see the God. And yeah, I break bread to see the God. The feds see me how I feed the squad.
Shop online at visions.ca and have it delivered. Or call the store, ask some questions, and set up an easy curbside pickup. Visions Electronics, keeping
curbside
pickup all across Canada.
You're listening to 680 News.
An arrest has been made in a bizarre police chase in the Upper Beach neighborhood. Toronto police saying they were called to the Danforth and Collinsville area around 3:30 this afternoon for reports of a man trying to break into a building while using a ladder. But Constable Alex Lee says it all went downhill from there.
Unfortunately, to his demise, the ladder fell off the building, and he was unable to get down.
So, stuck up there, he then tried to run from police by jumping from roof to roof like that was some sort of movie. Lee says the man managed to enter a home by kicking in a window, but he was quickly arrested. Necessity is the mother of invention. Harvey's and Bauer Hockey teaming up to help Canada keep Canadians safe when they order from the fast food chains drive-thrus. The payment machine will be attached to the end of a Bauer hockey stick to create more physical distance between the restaurant staff and its customers. Part of the proceeds of all drive-through sales will also be donated to Food Banks Canada. Coming up in 60 seconds, we got Richard Southern from the Remote Business Center.
680 News Time, 9:25.
Here's some good news for a change. Pickle Barrel Catering is doing even more to keep the GTA well-fed. Introducing real fresh family meals for 4. Get nutritious and definitely delicious meals for 4 delivered right to your door. Stuffed chicken supreme with roasted potatoes and green beans, slow-cooked beef brisket with garlic mash, salmon teriyaki with stir-fried veggies and more, all starting at just $49.99. Plus, PickleBarrelCatering.com has free delivery. So stay home, stay safe, and let Pickle Barrel Catering take care of dinner.
Hi, I'm Adam, founder of NewBorrow.com, and I started our company after I got fed up with the mortgage loan process. Turns out I wasn't alone. Thousands of homeowners wanted help.
They went above and beyond to help me get a line of credit. It was amazing service.
They treated me like a valued client and outperformed anyone I spoke to. Want to lower your mortgage payments and save a little money?
Use your home to get a loan with NewBorrow. Visit NewBorrow.com. License 13115.
Now the Dangerous Report, Richard Southern.
Good evening. Turning down the tax, OPEC, the oil cartel, has agreed to a historic reduction in the amount of Texas tea they're pumping out of the ground. They're going to cut back by 10 million barrels per day for the next 2 months. It'll be 8 million barrels through the summer and the balance of the year. The energy market has just been completely flooded with oil. Nobody needs it right now. And so they had to do something. Energy experts, though, say this doesn't go far enough. They say, well, the cutback will help to not fill up all the storage. It still doesn't do anything to address the real imbalance. The price for oil fell more than 9% to $22.76 per barrel. All right, meantime, get this. It's essentials only now at some big box retailers, at least starting in the States. Anthony Nicole, ETD Bank.
In parts of the U.S., they're actually barring big box stores like Walmart and Costco and Target from selling non-essential items. And then essentially these are, clothing and electronics, things like that. And the reason they're doing this is they want to help reduce the foot traffic in these stores to prevent the spread of the coronavirus. We know a lot of these large big box retailers generate a lot of significant traffic, and that increases the risk of the spread. So they're trying to prevent these big box stores from, selling these items or actually ripping off the items from the customers so they can't get to it.
Well, investors went shopping today for stocks. Boy, a big week in the books here. The TSX today up 230 points, 14,157. Bay Street gained 7% on the week. On Wall Street, a 12% gain for the Dow and the S&P, one of the best weeks in decades. Dow was up 285 points today to 23,719. S&P up 10%. On the week, investors eyeing the massive amounts of stimulus coming out of the U.S. Central Bank. Just today, the Fed offered up another $2.3 trillion for businesses and local governments. Canadian dollar to 71.5 cents U.S. This is 680 News.
Every time you spend some cash, you get some cash back with the CIBC Dividend Visa Infinite Card. Every time, with no limit on how much you can earn. You'll even earn on your monthly subscriptions. And when it comes to those necessary purchases like gas and groceries, you get 4% cash back on eligible purchases. 4%. Plus, right now, your first year's annual fee is on us. Don't just spend, earn. The CIBC Dividend Visa Infinite Card. Conditions apply. Learn more at CIBC.com/cashback.
While you are hopefully staying safe and healthy, many of you are probably at home. Maybe use the time to spring clean, like that old car taking up space in your garage. When you donate your car to Cars for Kids, that old car lives on by giving kids a chance to succeed. You can donate online in the comfort of your home, and the pickup can be contact-free. You'll receive a tax credit. See for yourself how simple it is. Go to carsforkids.ca or call 877-CARS-FOR-KIDS now to donate. Remember, that's cars with a K.
Downtown Toronto right now, we've got a partly cloudy sky at 3 degrees. It's dipping quickly, and overnight tonight going down to a low of 0, and we could see some flurries. 680 News Time, 9:30.
Number one for news in Toronto. This is 680 News.
Here are Scott Burnett and Christine Ritchie. Good evening. This is Thursday, April 9th.
Here's what's making news right now.
The first healthcare worker death from COVID-19 has been confirmed in Ontario. A staff member at Brampton Civic Hospital.
One day after releasing devastating numbers from a Scarborough long-term care home hit hard by COVID-19, Toronto's top doctor says we still have the ability to reduce the spread of the virus in our city.
Fatalities from COVID-19 in Ontario reached 200, and now there's renewed concerns about a shortage of testing supplies at some assessment centers.
If you are having difficulty coping with stress and anxiety during this pandemic, the City of Toronto has a service you can call for help.
UFC 249 is officially postponed. Sports at 45.
Big winning week for stocks. The TSX gained 7% and the S&P up 12 over the past 4 trading days. Business at 56.
News Time, 9:31.
Time for traffic and weather together on the ones. Here's Kyle Hawking.
This report is brought to you by Lowe's. It's a fairly uneventful drive right now, but we've got a few spots on the highways where there are multiple lanes blocked for construction. The one causing a delay is on the westbound 401 through Scarborough. So at Kennedy in the collectors, we have 2 left lanes blocked. You're squeezing past this construction crew in the right lane, and it is a bit slow through this area, though it's not too bad. And then we have more lanes blocked on the west 401 from west of the 427 all the way to Dixie in the collectors right by the airport. 3 right lanes also closed here, so just the left lane squeezing through. You'll be shuffled into single file. It's very lightly traveled through this area, though. Eastbound 401, couple of spots as well. Actually 3 spots. Eastbound 401 at the 407 in Milton. The right lane is closed there. And then we've got multiple lanes blocked in 2 spots. Approaching Dufferin to the Allen Express, 2 left lanes closed. And approaching Warden to east of Kennedy Express, 2 left lanes blocked there as well. So it's kind of a tricky drive along the 401 in both directions because of lane restrictions for maintenance. The only other construction we have is on the 403, first in Hamilton, 2 ramp closures. Eastbound Aberdeen, eastbound Maine ramps to the eastbound 403 are closed for overnight maintenance. And then in Mississauga, eastbound 403 through Eglinton in the express, the left lane is blocked. At Lowe's, we're always here to help, and even more so in times of uncertainty. Our website is available 24/7 to deliver the tools and materials you need. Lowe's.ca. Your next report at 9:41, and with the forecast, here's Natasha Ransahai.
Well, winter's not done with us just yet. We've got some lake effect flurries tonight with gusty northwest winds continuing. Could see trace to a centimeter or 2 of accumulation, especially outside of the downtown core to the north, and higher elevations will wake up to 0 degrees, wind chill -6. Once those flurries are done in the morning, it'll be a partly cloudy afternoon, still windy out of the northwest with a high of 6 degrees. Tonight, we're down to a low of 0.
And right now in downtown Toronto, we've got a partly cloudy sky, 3 degrees, 680 News Time, 9:33.
Ontario now has its first healthcare worker death related to COVID-19. The man worked at Brampton Civic Hospital, but it's not believed he contracted it at work.
680's Michelle Mackey with the details.
The Brampton man was in his 50s, a longtime employee of Brampton Civic Hospital, where he died in ICU. Dr. Brooks Follis, medical director of critical care, says the man was hospitalized on March 27th.
This was a healthy individual who had no known medical problems.
He was first diagnosed on March 20th. That's when Dr. Lawrence Lowe of Peel Public Health says an exposure assessment revealed the patient did not contract the virus from the hospital.
The suggestion that it was likely community transmission is essentially based on our finding of exclusion, just that we weren't able to essentially find an epidemiologic link to the hospital.
While this is Ontario's first known death of a healthcare worker resulting from COVID-19, more than 600 doctors, nurses, and medical staff have tested positive since the pandemic began. I'm Michelle Mackey.
It's happened somehow.
Meantime, Toronto's Chief Medical Officer of Health says this week has been difficult as we learned about the devastating impact of COVID-19 in some of our worst-hit long-term care homes. But she says we still have the ability to reduce the spread. 680's Phil Martino joins us live with more. Phil.
Christine, Dr. Eileen de Villa says the fatal impact of COVID-19 on our loved ones in long-term care is becoming painfully clear. At Seven Oaks and Scarborough alone, there have been 16 virus-related deaths. Part of our core work in public health is working with long-term care homes to ensure proper measures are in place to control outbreaks and to prevent disease spread. For COVID-19, these include initiating twice-a-day screening of residents and staff. Other measures include canceling group activities, enhancing cleaning, and restricting staff to only work at one facility. Essential workers in our long-term care homes are critical to keeping our loved ones safe. But they are at risk too, and we must also keep them safe. Our best line of defense is to slow down the spread in our community. She says this means staying at home as much as possible, and when you do go out, practice physical distancing. There are now 1,769 confirmed and probable cases of COVID-19 in Toronto, and there have been 54 virus-related deaths. Phil Martino, 680 News.
The province's assessment centers are running low on testing swabs, which is why they have been turning away people who are showing symptoms but are not deemed priority. 680 Stuart McGinn joins us with those details as hundreds of new cases are confirmed here in Ontario.
Ontario has now recorded 200 deaths from COVID-19, and with nearly 500 new cases, the province's total is now at 5,759. But today, claims from Premier Doug Ford that the province is nowhere near its limit when it comes to testing people are being challenged.
Looking down the street at some of the assessment centers, for one reason or another, the volume hasn't been there.
The Premier confirming reports that because of supply shortages, some people have even been turned away from those centers. But Ford still says they want to test as many people as possible, and anyone showing symptoms should be able to find out whether or not they've contracted COVID-19. The newest data shows 4,100 people in the province were tested yesterday, but the Premier has said there's capacity to perform up to 13,000 tests a day. I'm Stuart McGinn.
And the federal government has released its projections for the COVID-19 pandemic, suggesting tens of thousands will likely die through the course of this health crisis. Meantime, the Prime Minister says these projections show it will be a long time before the country will be able to return to normal.
These are sobering figures. The Public Health Agency of Canada says even if our current strict controls remain in place, in the coming months, the deaths from this virus across Canada will likely be in the range of 11 to 22,000, with as many as 1.9 million Canadians being infected. In the best case scenario, the death toll will be as low as 4,500. At worst, if we weaken our controls, it could rise to the hundreds of thousands. Chief Public Health Officer Dr. Teresa Tam says this shows why we all need to practice physical distancing.
It is a matter of life and death, really. You know, we are the authors of our fate. This is something that is really serious.
If all goes well, the peak of the pandemic could hit late spring or early summer, which means we're in line for months of restrictions. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says we face a fork in the road, and if we choose the right path, they could start to gradually reduce measures after the peak.
Extremely hopeful that we will be able to begin to restore a certain measure of economic activity in the coming months after this first wave is passed.
But he warns life won't return to normal until a vaccine is developed. Cormac McSweeney, Parliament Hill.
As the COVID-19 pandemic continues, it's taking a toll on many Canadians, and whether it's the physical strain on healthcare workers or the mental health of those in isolation, it's hard on everyone. The City of Toronto is recognizing that and putting a new strategy in place to support you. Mark McAllister of City News spoke with Mayor John Tory and has the details.
The strategy for those struggling to cope with things like isolation, stress, and anxiety involves the city partnering with a number of mental health service providers like Kids Help Phone and the Toronto Seniors Helpline, among other agencies.
We have stressed before at this table that it is okay not to be okay. I know many people feel isolated. Many people feel alone. So that is why today I'm sharing with the people of the City of Toronto for them to use a mental health a support strategy developed to support the well-being of Toronto's most vulnerable residents during this time.
Residents are being asked to call 211 or go online to find mental health support and connect with the different service providers.
The city also says this new strategy does not replace mental health services that are already servicing individuals in the community.
In 30 seconds, we'll take a look at weekend gas prices.
680 News Time 9:39.
We're two men and a truck. So, you're moving to a new home, and all that's left to do is to call a mover you know you can trust. Well, naturally, you think two men and a truck, since you know they have lots of men and lots of trucks. They'll wrap, pack, and move everything you own. With a 96% referral rating and the professionalism you can trust, the choice is simple. For a free in-home estimate, call today. We're two men and a truck. We're open for business. Two men and a truck, the movers who care.
Now the 680 News gas price update, and Pro predicts the price will not change at midnight, staying at 77.9 cents a litre at most GTA stations.
680 News Time 9:40.
Northwood Mortgage people work harder to find solutions just for you. One example, Northwood regularly helps families get into new homes after the bank has turned them down. Unlike the big banks, Northwood Mortgage is more flexible. Northwood Mortgage listens and works harder to create a solution that's customized for you. Northwood Mortgage. Visit northwoodmortgage.com.
License 10349.
Stop the spread. COVID-19 can be deadly. Acting now will save lives. We all need to work together to stop the spread of COVID-19. Staying home protects our most vulnerable. Staying home will help keep our family, friends, and neighbors safe. Do your part. Stay home. For information, visit ontario.ca/coronavirus. Paid for by the Government of Ontario.
News Time 9:41.
And we head over to the traffic center with Kyle Hawking.
This report is brought to you by CIBC. Just construction here and there on the highways right now. Nothing too serious, but there's a couple of spots on the West 401 where you're down to just one lane. Westbound 401 through Kennedy in the collectors. 2 left lanes blocked here, so for a short stretch, it's down to just the right lane getting past. And we've got west of the 427 all the way to Dixie in the collectors by the airport, 3 right lanes closed. So again, you're squeezed into that left lane through this construction zone. Thankfully, because traffic is so light, neither one causing a substantial delay, just minor volume through those construction spots. On the eastbound 401, maintenance by the 407 in Milton, blocking the right lane. And then again, 2 spots where we have multiple lanes blocked. Approaching Dufferin to the Allen in the Express, 2 left lanes closed here. And then approaching Warden to east of Kennedy in the Express, 2 left lanes blocked again. And in this particular instance, just the right lane open in Scarborough on that second stretch of construction on the East 401 through Warden to east of Kennedy Express. The rest of the construction is on the 403 eastbound, 2 spots in Hamilton, 2 ramp closures in fact. Eastbound Aberdeen, eastbound Maine, ramps to the East 403 closed. And in Mississauga through Eglinton in the Express, the left lane off limits for construction. It pays to open a CIBC Smart account, earn $300 and pay no monthly fee for up to 12 months when you open a new account. Conditions apply. Your next report at 9:51, and with the forecast, here's Natasha Ranzahai.
It is going to be windy and unsettled tonight because we have these on and off showers switching over to lake effect flurries throughout this evening and overnight tonight with trace to a centimeter or two of accumulation just north of the downtown core here. We'll wake up to 0 degrees, wind chill -6, and mainly cloudy to start, but we'll get more sun tomorrow afternoon. It's cool at 6 degrees and still windy out of the northwest. Lake effect snow will continue Friday night into Saturday morning. This is again mainly areas to the north, partly cloudy Saturday afternoon with a high of 9 degrees. Tonight we're down to a low of 0 degrees.
Downtown Toronto, partly cloudy and 6 degrees, 5 degrees over at Pearson Airport. 680 News Time, 9:43.
Well, with everyone home in front of their television screens, the series finale of Modern Family sees some very strong ratings.
Really leaving. What do we do? The Dunphys and the Pritchett's said goodbye Wednesday. The hour-long last episode of Modern Family watched by 7.4 million people on ABC, the biggest audience for the series in 3 years.
You're acting crazy.
At its peak, though, in 2011, the show was averaging an audience of almost 13 million. And while the finale numbers were strong, they weren't enough to beat the Chicago shows on NBC, Survivor on CBS, or The Masked Singer on Fox. Jason Nathanson, ABC News, Hollywood.
Coming up in health and lifestyle news at 9:48. Well, many are looking forward to the long weekend coming up, but the City of Toronto warning that police will be on the lookout, ready to give tickets to those caught gathering in groups. 680 News Time, 9:44.
At this difficult time, New Life Fertility Center wishes you good health and safety and thanks the government for helping lift the financial burden. It's been hard, but from this hardship will come new life. And when you start yours, consider partnering with New Life Fertility. Don't worry about the cost because New Life also stands by you financially with the guaranteed lowest IVF cost, just $7,900 and the highest success rate. Terms and conditions apply. NewLifeFertility.com.
TC Energy knows that homeowners look forward to spring for tackling home improvements. It's also a time for construction and excavation, whether it's installing a deck, fence, pool, or planting a tree. Visit OntarioOneCall.ca. Ontario One Call is a free service available to everyone. Just dial 1-800-400-2255 or visit OntarioOneCall.ca. It's an action that could save you time, money, and keep you safe. A message from TC Energy, who believes safety is always in season.
This is All News Radio, 680 News.
It's 3 degrees with a partly cloudy sky. Good evening from the 680 News Broadcast Center in downtown Toronto. I'm Christine Ritchie.
Thanks, Scott, for that. Here are the top stories right now.
Ontario seeing its first COVID-19 related death of a healthcare worker. A Brampton man in his 50s who worked on the cleaning staff at Brampton's Civic Hospital died this morning in intensive care. Officials say the man likely picked up the virus from community spread and not in the hospital. And it was a difficult week for long-term care homes in the city where dozens of residents are sick. And at one Scarborough facility alone, 16 COVID-19 related deaths have been reported. And coming up after sports, a little bit of sunshine. Scientists at the U of T believe a decrease in traffic has dropped pollution levels in the city. 680 News Time, 9:46. Now, 680 Sports from Sportsnet 590 The Fan. Here's George Russick.
Another day, another event canceled due to the COVID-19 pandemic. This time, UFC 249 has been canceled, and all UFC events have been postponed indefinitely. According to UFC President Dana White, the event was supposed to take place on April 18th from a yet-to-be-disclosed location. Defending champ Tiger Woods said his body was ready for this year's Masters. Today would have been round one at Augusta National, but it won't be played, let's hope, until November. And Forbes estimates that the Blue Jays are in the middle of the list of baseball's most valuable franchises. Toronto is 15th with an estimated value of $1.625 billion. The New York Yankees are baseball's most valuable at $5 billion, 47% more than the number 2 team, the Los Angeles Dodgers, at $3.4 billion. Sports at 15 and 45 past every hour or anytime at sportsnet.ca/590.
680 News Time, 9:47.
Are you looking for a ministry-inspected online high school where you can earn credits or upgrade your marks? Learn from home with the Ontario Virtual School. The Ontario Virtual School allows you to earn OSSD credits while you learn from home, so you can get your high school diploma. Now is a good time to sign up. Set your own schedule and get 24-hour access to our certified teachers. Some courses can be completed in as little as 4 weeks. Learn more at OntarioVirtualSchool.ca.
Hi, I'm Anthony Longo. Our family has been proud to serve Ontarians for over 60 years.
And like your family, we're doing our best to stay positive during these challenging times. I'd like to thank all our team members for their continued commitment to serving our community. And I'm grateful to our loyal guests for being patient with us and with each other while we do our best to keep our shelves stocked, our stores clean, and our community safe. And even though we're all trying to keep our distance, I hope this experience will bring us all closer together. Thank you.
680 News Time at 9:48. Mayor John Tory says the city's COVID-19 enforcement team has been keeping busy. He says bylaw enforcement officers and police will be out all long weekend.
Our bylaw officers spoke to almost 1,000 people yesterday alone. Parks, forestry, and recreation staff have posted more than 3,000 new no parking signs at closed parking lots and more than 1,900 new social distancing bylaw signs in the parks. But hopefully the signs are just a reminder of something you know already, which is that you have to keep your distance. Ideally, you would stay home and not visit these places at all.
And 15 tickets were issued yesterday for a total of 68 since last Saturday. Tory says, unfortunately, some people are still gathering in groups at some city parks, and it appears to be mostly dog owners. Tory outed the ones who gathered yesterday at Sunnybrook and Sherwood Parks, as well as at Riverdale Park. And there are very few silver linings to this global health crisis, but the environment might be a beneficiary. 680's Milman Qureshi joins us with the findings of a new local study that looks at effects here in Toronto.
It's one of the few silver linings we can see from this pandemic. Dr. Greg Evans, a professor of chemical engineering and applied chemistry at U of T, tells me he's done some testing since the pandemic hit and has found a significant reduction in traffic on our roads has led to a substantial drop in some pollutants.
Certainly the ones that we've seen associated with traffic in downtown Toronto are decreasing, and they're about half of what they traditionally were.
He says there's also a new study that was released yesterday in the U.S. that shows better air quality might reduce the amount of hospitalizations from COVID-19.
They found that places had worse air quality, had much more severe outcomes from COVID. The death from COVID was quite a bit higher.
But he says there's multiple reasons that could explain that, so the data needs to be analyzed before they can draw that conclusion. I'm Milman Qureshi.
TTC employees are on the front line of the COVID-19 pandemic, deemed as essential service. The TTC says as of today, a total of 9 of its employees have tested positive. They include a bus mechanic, a subway operator, 2 bus drivers, a streetcar driver, station collector, Wheel-Trans operator, and a bus technician. There are currently 240 TTC employees in self-isolation. 680 News Time 9:50.
It's a challenging time out there, and it's imperative that we keep each other safe. That's why Dogs Garage Doors is changing to suit the times. Stay home and let their trusted staff take you through the showroom virtually, see all their products, and ask questions straight from the comfort of your home. Dogs understands that your safety and the safety of the community is paramount.
Dogs. D-O-D-D-S. Remember, no one does it better than Dogs does. No one.
Hi, I'm Cherry Tabb, co-founder of the Herzig Eye Institute. We're taking every possible precaution to keep you safe. That's why the Herzig Eye Institute is pausing elective surgery for the time being. However, we remain available online and by phone to keep you fully informed about our refractive cataract and laser vision correction services, and to schedule and reschedule your Herzig appointments. Google high definition vision and sign up for my blog so we can stay connected. Look after yourself. Promise.
And with a look at traffic, here's Kyle Hawking.
This report brought to you by the Ontario Ministry of Health. We've got just maintenance on the go out there right now. If you're traveling to westbound 401, a new spot just being put in through Markham Road in the collectors. 2 right lanes are being blocked off now. And that also is making things a little bit trickier because through Markham Road collectors, 2 right lanes blocked. And then up ahead at Kennedy in the collectors, 2 left lanes are closed for construction. So it's a bit of a maze through this area of Scarborough. We've also got some maintenance work going on near the airport, westbound 401, west to the 427 to Dixie in the collectors. 3 right lanes are closed there because of construction. 3 spots on the eastbound 401. At the 407 in the, at the 407, the right lane is blocked for construction. Then where there are express and collector lanes, East 401 approaching Dufferin to the Allen Express, 2 left lanes closed. Again, approaching Warden due east of Kennedy Express. 2 left lanes closed again. Traffic spotter called about a collision on the southbound 400 by 5th line. In Bradford, we've got the right lane blocked by crews after a vehicle went into the ditch. I notified the MTO about this. They weren't aware, but they are sending a crew that way. To all of our frontline heroes who keep us safe, we say thank you. Protect them by staying home, paid for by the Government of Ontario. Your next report at 10:01, and with the extended forecast, here's Natasha Ramsahai.
Winter-like weather because we're talking rain switching over to lake effect flurries tonight, and then also wind chills of -6 that we're waking up to in the morning. Could see a light dusting of that snow outside of the downtown core tonight. By tomorrow morning, the afternoon we'll see some sun, but it's still windy out of the northwest, up to 50 to 60 kilometers per hour. Tomorrow's high 6. Friday night into Saturday morning, a second round of lake effect snow impacting areas to the north. It'll be partly cloudy in the afternoon with a high of 9 degrees. Dry Saturday night, but by Sunday morning we're going to start off with some rain, drier in the afternoon with a high of 10 degrees. Could even see some thunderstorms returning Sunday night into Monday morning. Typical spring weather, ups and downs. Overnight tonight, we're down to a low of 0 degrees. And we're sitting at 3 degrees with a partly cloudy sky.
In times like these, shouldn't your money work even harder for you? We think so. That's why at Duca Credit Union, you get no-fee checking accounts. You also get high interest on deposits and investments, and low mortgage rates. Plus, you get to share in the profits. That's the Duca difference. And now we're offering 2.5% interest on your savings until March 31st, 2021. Find out how at earnmore.duca.com. Do more, be more, achieve more with Duca Credit Union. Conditions apply.
When you need to know. Breaking news. Here's how the 2020 budget will affect your family's bottom line. Traffic. Let's just flow over the DVP and Lakeshore again, where we have issues with the traffic lights. Weather.
North of that, freezing rain overnight. South of that, going to remain as suggested.
When you need to know.
We're here.
This is 680 News.
Well, if you don't feel like cooking and are hoping to dish out some delivery or takeout options, there is a new online restaurant hub showcasing Toronto restaurants. ToGoToronto.com sorts options available by delivery, takeout, location, and culinary type, along with a map of restaurants. And there's no charge for businesses to register. 680 News Time, 9:55.
Of course, you always want to be there for your parents and grandparents. But when you can't be right there with them, Direct Alert by TELUS Health can be. This personal emergency response service gives your loved ones access to 24/7 support at the push of a button, and knowing they're taken care of takes some of the worry away. Direct Alert by TELUS Health is simple to install yourself, ships directly to you, and starts at $25 a month. Right now, you can save up to $180 a year on select plans. Visit directalert.ca for details.
Have you heard about direct lending? It's more flexible than bank lending without the bank. With tougher regulations after the financial crisis, traditional banks have cut back on lending to homeowners. With a home equity loan from Capital Direct, the money that you could use is a simple phone call away. Whether it's home renovations, college tuition, or you just want to pay down taxes, Capital Direct can help. Go direct. Call Capital Direct today at 1-800-NEW-CAPITAL to see what's available for you.
CA.
680 News Time, 9:56. Now the business report. Here's Richard Southern.
Good evening. Stocks moved higher today to cap off a big bounce back week. Yes, the TSX up 7% on the week. It added 230 points today. Canada's main stock benchmark now back up to 14,156. The Dow and S&P 500 both gained 12% on the week. For the S&P, it was its best week since 1974. The Dow today up 285 points, 23,719. Not to be outdone, the NASDAQ moved higher today and was up 10% on the week. This is all in spite of some very bad economic news. We found out today that Canada lost 1 million jobs in March. The unemployment rate surging to 7.8%. However, boosting the mood was the U.S. Central Bank, which launched its latest unprecedented efforts to support the U.S. economy. Greg Taylor is the Chief Investment Officer at Purpose Investments. Greg, it's amazing investors brushed aside 1 million Canadian jobs down the drain.
But you have to look through that. And I think the thing today that really caught everyone's attention was as soon as that job number came out and it was worse than expected, the Fed announced another stimulus program. And I think that's a big credit to the Fed right now, that they're being ahead of the curve and they're actually trying to be proactive. And that's something they didn't do in the global financial crisis. And the fact we're doing it now, I think, is a great credit to them.
Yeah, the Fed announced a program to provide $2.3 trillion with a T loans to U.S. households, governments, and businesses. Well after the closing bell, OPEC announced it has reached a deal to cut back the amount of oil it's taking out of the ground. It's going to cut back by 10 million barrels per day for the next 2 months. This is a historic cut, though experts say it doesn't go far enough in dealing with the oversupply. Oil closed down at $22.76 a barrel. Gold surged to its highest close since November of 2012, $1,752 US dollars the ounce. Canadian dollar at 71.5 cents US. This is 680 News.
Ontario's doctors are urging you to practice physical distancing to slow the spread of coronavirus. Stay home, avoid gatherings, stay away from those who don't live with you, and distance yourself from anyone sick in your household. Maintain physical distance, but continue to provide emotional support to your loved ones. If you've recently traveled, self-isolate for 14 days. Stay home, keep your distance. For more information, visit virusfacts.ca. This message is brought to you by the Ontario Medical Association.
Introducing Irwin's new Command Lock Tape measures, built for extra control with a finger break, up to 14-foot reach, and a high-contrast DuPont Mylar film-coated white blade. Plus, it comes in a high-impact resistant case. When every quarter-inch matters, these tapes are designed with your job in mind. New Irwin Command Lock Tapes, built for the trades. Available only at Canadian Tire stores across Canada. Find out more at irwintools.ca. We make sure you're the first to know.
680 News.
Now, 680 News regional weather conditions for Coy Brothers.
Get blown away with the power and price of the Stihl BG50 handheld blower.
Just $199.95.
Stihl at Coy Brothers.
KOOYBROS.com.
In Oakville this hour, 5 degrees with a partly cloudy sky. In Hamilton this hour, 3 degrees, light rain there. And in Richmond Hill, 4 degrees, partly cloudy. Right now in downtown Toronto, 3 degrees, partly cloudy. 680 News Time, 10 o'clock.
Number one for breaking news, traffic, and weather. This is 680 News, Toronto.
Here are Scott Burnett and Christine Ritchie.
This is Thursday, April 9th.
Here's what's making news this hour.
A man in his 50s marks Ontario's first healthcare worker death from COVID-19. Health officials believe he contracted the virus from community spread, not from work.
The city is facing COVID-19 outbreaks at a number of long-term care homes. But Toronto's chief medical officer of health says we still have the ability to reduce the spread of the virus in our city.
As the province records 200 deaths from COVID-19, Doug Ford addresses concerns of testing shortages despite claims the province isn't testing near its capacity.
Premier Doug Ford launches a committee to save Ontario's economy after the coronavirus crisis.
Just light that match and ignite a fire, the likes of which this province has never seen before.
The Texans make another deal while hopes of a UFC 249 are dashed. Sports at 15.
Best week since 1974 for Wall Street, and the TSX surged as well. Plus, OPEC agrees to a massive crude cutback. Business at 26.
680 News Time, 10:01.
Time for traffic and weather together on the ones. Let's hit up the remote traffic center. Good evening, Craig Gear.
Hey, good evening, Scott and Christine. This report is brought to you by weeklycovid19.ca. So some big-time construction popping up now on the westbound 401. Just hearing they're in the process of shutting down the collectors for quite a stretch. Not exactly sure where they're going to let you back in, but on the westbound 401 at Markham Road, they've shut down the collector lanes. Obviously, the southbound Markham, the McCowan, the Brimley ramps onto the westbound 401 are also shut down, and they've also blocked off the transfer from Express into collectors west of Brimley. So I believe the westbound 401, at least the collectors are going to be closed from Markham to west of Brimley, but by the next report, we'll have it all figured out. They've also shut down the Kennedy ramps onto the westbound 401, and then once you make your way west to the 427 over through to Dixie, south of the airport in the collectors, it's the 3 right lanes that they have blocked off for overnight construction work. Not too much going on the eastbound side of the 401, but as you approach Dufferin over to the Allen in the Express, crews are working, and again approaching Warden to east of Kennedy in the Express, through there as well. We're still dealing with a vehicle in the ditch on the southbound 400 at 5th line. The right lane's been blocked off here as they tend to that. Business owners, home builders, and homeowners alike, stop the spread. Ensure that your home or business is COVID-19 virus and pathogen-free. Guaranteed with WeCleanCovid19.ca. Book today at WeCleanCovid19.ca. Your next report is at 10:11. Here's the forecast with Natasha Ramsahai.
Well, winter's not done with us just yet. We've got some lake effect flurries tonight with gusty northwest winds continuing. Could see trace to a centimeter or two of accumulation, especially outside of the downtown core to the north, and higher elevations will wake up to 0 degrees, wind chill -6. Once those flurries are done in the morning, it'll be a partly cloudy afternoon, still windy out of the northwest with a high of 6 degrees. Tonight, we're down to a low of 0. And right now in downtown Toronto, sitting at 3 degrees with a partly cloudy sky. 680 news time, 10:03.
Ontario has seen its first death of a healthcare worker related to the coronavirus, a Brampton man in his 50s.
680's Michelle Mackey joins us with word he likely did not contract COVID at work.
The healthcare worker was a longtime member of the cleaning staff at Brampton Civic Hospital. Dr. Brooks Follis, medical director of critical care with William Osler, says the patient was a family man with no underlying health conditions.
Someone who went to work and lived at home with his family and had no medical concerns of note prior to coming in contact with COVID-19.
And an investigation has revealed the man did not contract the virus at the hospital where he worked.
He developed symptoms on March 20th. He was actually swabbed and diagnosed with COVID-19 in the community. And then he was admitted to hospital on March 27th.
He died in ICU, and health officials say anyone he may have come into contact with while working was contacted and told to self-isolate several weeks ago. I'm Michelle Mackey.
Well, Toronto's Chief Medical Officer of Health says the fatal impact of COVID-19 on our loved ones in long-term care homes is becoming painfully clear. At Seven Oaks in Scarborough alone, there have been 16 virus-related deaths. 680's Phil Martino joins us live with the latest. Phil.
Scott, Dr. Eileen Davila says she's often asked, how do COVID-19 outbreaks happen in our long-term care homes?
One way or another, COVID-19 gets into long-term care homes through people. This includes the people who visit long-term care homes and the people who work there.
Davila says long-term care home workers are at risk, and we have to keep them safe too. She stresses our best line of defense is to slow down the spread of the virus in our community, and that means staying at home as much as possible. And when you do go out, practice physical distancing. There are now over 1,700 confirmed and probable cases of COVID-19 in Toronto, and there have been 54 virus-related deaths. Phil Martino, 680 News.
And with 200 deaths and more cases of COVID-19 surfacing every day in Ontario, we're now learning assessment centers are turning away patients with symptoms because they don't have enough testing swabs. 680's Stuart McGinn joins us with that story and reaction from the Ford government.
Ontario has now recorded 200 deaths from COVID-19, and with nearly 500 new cases, the province's total is now at 5,759. But today, claims from Premier Doug Ford that the province is nowhere near its limit when it comes to testing people are being challenged.
Looking down the street at some of the assessment centers, for one reason or another, the volume hasn't been there.
The Premier confirming reports that because of supply shortages, some people have even been turned away from those centers. But Ford still says they want to test as many people as possible, and anyone showing symptoms should be able to find out whether or not they've contracted COVID-19. The newest data shows 4,100 people in the province were tested yesterday, but the Premier has said there's capacity to perform up to 13,000 tests a day. I'm Stuart McGinn.
680 news time at 10:06. Meantime, Premier Ford wants the province ready for economic recovery when the time comes and has launched a new Ontario Jobs and Recovery Committee to do just that.
Premier Doug Ford calls the loss of more than 400,000 jobs in Ontario because of COVID-19 a punch in the gut.
Sadly, these numbers are just the tip of the iceberg.
And so he has put together the Ontario Jobs and Recovery Committee. Its task, save the economy after the crisis.
We have the greatest province, the greatest people, the brightest people in the entire world. And that's why I'm so confident when we get through this, we're going to get the economy going. We're going to just light that match and ignite a fire the likes of which this province has never seen before.
Ford says the measures that are hurting businesses, like physical distancing and closing non-essential stores, Those have to be maintained for now because they are saving lives. This new committee is made up of 13 politicians, all of them from Ford's own cabinet and party. I'm Mark Douglas.
680 News Time, 10:07. Federal health officials have now released their projections for the COVID-19 pandemic across the country. The dire numbers suggest tens of thousands will likely die, and the figures could be worse or better depending on the actions of Canadians.
The dire projection from the Public Health Agency shows the most likely scenarios that between 11 and 22,000 people will die in the coming months of COVID-19. And that's if our strong public controls stay as they are. However, Chief Public Health Officer Dr. Theresa Tam stresses we can change the trajectory of this pandemic.
All Canadians who are practicing physical distancing will ultimately determine whether we can remain in this best case scenario. We cannot prevent every death, but we must prevent every death that we can.
In the absolute best scenario, there could be a little over 4,500 deaths, but if we weaken controls, the death toll could rise to the hundreds of thousands.
But we're at a fork in the road between the best and the worst possible outcomes.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says these numbers show physical distancing rules will be in place for a while.
It will take months of continued determined effort.
The pandemic could peak late spring or early summer, and after that, the Prime Minister says we can gradually start resuming more economic activities. Cormac McSwinney, Parliament Hill.
And the City of Toronto once again stressing the importance of physical distancing as we head into the holiday weekend. Officials urging you to continue staying at home and keeping your distance from others during the upcoming holidays, leaving only for essential reasons. Residents are encouraged to connect with loved ones, friends, and vulnerable members of the community online or by phone. Up in 30 seconds, we'll check on the price of the pumps.
680 News Time, 10:09.
News
is always changing.
Now more than ever.
Listen 3, 4, 5 times a day.
This is 680 News.
Ask to play us on your smart speaker.
Hey guys, it's never a good look when you untuck a long bulky dress shirt. It just looks sloppy. That's why Untuck It makes shirts specifically designed to be worn untucked. And not only do they look good, they feel great too. Untuck It offers 50 fit combinations, so tall, short, slim, and bigger guys can experience the perfect fitting shirt. While our stores are temporarily closed, please go to untuckit.ca where you can browse and purchase from our extensive new spring line. Use promo code Canada for 20% off your entire first purchase. Untuckit.ca. Promo code Canada.
Now the 680 News gas price update. Info predicts the price of the pump's not going to change at midnight, holding at 77.9 cents a litre at most GTA stations.
680 News Time, 10:10.
Does your credit card debt keep you up at night? I know mine did. Hi, I'm Adam, and 6 years ago, I was no different, so I started New Borrow. Our proven step-by-step system helps homeowners eliminate debt and save thousands, like Tina.
Now I sleep at night, my debts are paid off, and I only make one monthly payment.
Read hundreds of other 5-star Google reviews and apply today to start saving.
Use your home to get a loan with New Borrow. Visit newborrow.com. License 13115.
Stop the spread. COVID-19 can be deadly. Everyone must act now. We must stop the spread to protect our families, our friends, our neighbors, and especially our most vulnerable. You may be unintentionally putting others at risk with your actions. Protect others. Stay home. Save lives. Do your part and act now. Visit ontario.ca/coronavirus for more information. Paid for by the Government of Ontario.
10:11.
Traffic and weather together on the ones. Here's Craig Gear.
This report is brought to you by Lowe's. So a bit of construction out there blocking the collector lanes on the westbound 401. As of right now, they're forcing you as you approach McCowan into the Express. The Express is handling everything just fine. Just heads up, though, all those ramps in between McCowan and it looks like the 404. You won't be able to access them tonight on the westbound 401. They've shut the collectors down from approaching McCowan over to the 404 where you can transfer back in. I'm just going to try to take a peek at the cameras and see if you can actually get in before that. But it looks like between McCowan and the 404, the collectors are closed tonight. So just heads up. Also, the Kennedy ramps to the west 401 obviously are blocked off. The Brimley, the McCowan, the Markham ramps as well. You have the 3 right lanes blocked off on the westbound eastbound 401 west of the 427 over to Dixie, where they're working in the collectors here. We have a vehicle in the ditch getting tended to on the southbound 400 at Fifth Line, where the right lane's been blocked off, but that's pretty much it, and it's moving well through there. We also have the eastbound Aberdeen and the eastbound main ramps to the eastbound 403 out in the Hamilton area blocked off for maintenance. At Lowe's, we're always here to help, and even more so in times of uncertainty. Our website is available 24/7 to deliver the tools and materials you need. Lowe's.ca. Your next report is at 10:21. Here's the forecast with Natasha Ramsahai.
Through the night tonight, gusty west-northwest winds continue. They will also continue to drive in lake effect showers, switching over to wet flurries. And there's a chance we could see some ice pellets during that changeover, trace to a centimeter or two possible of accumulation by the morning outside of the downtown core. We've got 0 degrees to start off the day. We'll see some sun in the afternoon, still windy out of the northwest with a high of 6. And in northern York, Durham, watch for a second round of lake effect flurries Friday night into Saturday morning. Again, another light dusting, partly cloudy in the afternoon. Saturday's high 9 degrees. Tonight we're down to a low of 0 degrees.
And right now we're sitting at 3 degrees, partly cloudy sky. 680 News Time, 10:13.
SNL will be back with a new episode this weekend.
Live from New York, it's Saturday night.
Saturday Night Live will be live this week with new content. The cast just won't all be together. NBC says the show will be produced remotely as it observes social distancing rules. It will include a Weekend Update news segment, but it's uncertain whether there will be a musical guest or if anyone besides the cast will participate. SNL last aired live on March 7th. Production was shut down due to the coronavirus outbreak. I'm Archie Zarletta.
680 News Time, 10:14.
Hello, it's Jeff from Reliance Home Comfort. We know things are uncertain right now, but if you need furnace, hot water, or plumbing help, we're here for you. Understanding the seriousness of the current situation, we're taking great pains to make sure that any visit to your home is safe for you as well as our Reliance team members. So if you find yourself in need of a heating or plumbing professional, we're here for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. As always, when you need help you can trust, just call on Reliance.
The Government of Canada and public health experts are taking action to protect Canadians from COVID-19. Protect yourself and others, especially those with medical conditions and older adults. Wash your hands often. Avoid touching your face. Cough or sneeze into your arm and disinfect surfaces. You should also avoid crowded places. Avoid all non-essential travel. And if you're sick, stay home. To learn more, visit canada.ca/coronavirus. A message from the Government of Canada.
This is All News Radio, 680 News.
Partly cloudy and 6 degrees in downtown Toronto. Good evening from the 680 News Broadcast Center. I'm Scott Burnett.
And I'm Christine Ritchie. Here are the top stories this hour.
A Brampton man in his 50s has become Ontario's first health care-related death from COVID-19. A man working as a cleaner at Brampton Civic Hospital, although it is believed he contracted the virus as a result of a community spread, not at work. Assessment centers across the province have begun turning people away, even if they show mild symptoms of COVID-19, as they are now running low on testing swabs. And Premier Doug Ford says his party will light the match under the near-decimated economy with the creation of the Ontario Jobs and Recovery Committee after the province lost 400,000 jobs last month. Coming up after sports, maybe the Easter long weekend, but the COVID-19 enforcement squad will be out in full force in the city. Now 680 Sports, and from Sportsnet 590 The Fan, here's George Russick.
The Houston Texans are sending a second-round pick to the Los Angeles Rams in exchange for wide receiver Brandon Cooks and a future fourth-round pick. Houston, of course, traded wideout DeAndre Hopkins to Arizona last month. UFC 249 has been canceled, and all UFC events have been postponed indefinitely due to the COVID-19 pandemic. According to UFC President Dana White, the event was scheduled to take place on April 18th from a yet-to-be-disclosed location. Thursday would have been round one of the Masters, but it won't be played, hopefully, until November. Defending champ Tiger Woods said his body was ready. And Forbes estimates that the New York Yankees are baseball's most valuable franchise at $5 billion, 47% more than the number 2 team, the Los Angeles Dodgers, at $3.4 billion. The Blue Jays are in the middle of the list at number 15 with an estimated value of $1.625 billion, up 8%. Sports at 15 and 45 past every hour or anytime at sportsnet.ca/590.
680 News Time at 10:17.
The Princess Margaret Home Lottery is now 70% sold. Don't miss the incredible $6.8 million grand prize, a contemporary $1.6 million Upper Beaches grand prize, and a stunning country home in Prince Edward County. Homes, cottages, condos, cars, and more. It's one big prize after another. Now 70% sold. Don't miss out. Buy your tickets now at PrincessMargaretLottery.com.
My name is Aaron Waxley, and in times of uncertainty, we can take solace in the fact that those that we care about, our family, our friends, and those in our community are safe and are practicing physical distancing and staying at home. At my firm, I've encouraged staff to work from home and to follow the guidelines to staying safe. I know these are difficult times, but we can take this moment to reflect on how much we have to be grateful for. I wish you and your family only peace and good health.
680 News Time, 10:18.
U.S. President Donald Trump has spoken with mental health professionals to help ease the anxiety created with massive job losses across America.
The president says depression and desperation is an enormous problem.
This has taken a tremendous toll mentally on a lot of people. And I think we're going to open up strong. I think we're going to open up very successfully.
The president saying government relief checks will help ease some of the anxiety. In field, ABC News, Washington.
680 News Time, 10:18. The City of Toronto's COVID-19 enforcement team will be working the entire long weekend. Mayor John Tory says, unfortunately, they've been busy.
Sunnybrook and Sherwood Park, where there were dogs off leash and people were gathering in groups to socialize, which is not a part of the physical distancing. Humber Bay East and High Park, where there were large numbers of park users gathering together and using the closed amenities, which are closed for a reason. And Riverdale Park, both east and west, where people were congregating and using the dog park and the baseball diamond.
Bylaw officers spoke to almost 1,000 people yesterday alone. They also issued 15 tickets. Park staff have posted more than 3,000 new no parking signs at closed parking lots and 1,900 new physical distancing signs in the parks. Well, the environment has been benefiting the most from worldwide physical distancing measures.
With the majority of people staying home and so few cars on the roads, it seems logical to assume there's less pollution going on in the air, but rather than rely on anecdotal evidence, I spoke to Dr. Greg Evans. He's a professor of chemical engineering and applied chemistry at U of T. He tells me he's done some testing since the pandemic hit.
Sure enough, it is reducing the concentrations of some key pollutants. Some of them are dropping, other ones do not drop them as much. Certainly the ones that we've seen associated with traffic in downtown Toronto are decreasing, and they're about half of what they traditionally were.
He says more so, there's data that shows that better air quality might impact COVID-19.
It may actually reduce the rate of hospitalization. I'm kind of hoping that might come out to be the case, but we just won't know until we've collected all these data and have a chance to do the analysis.
He says a 50% drop in pollutants is a substantial change. I'm Omen Qureshi.
680 News Time, 10:20.
A message from Canadian Blood Services. Reason number 2 to join Canada's Lifeline. Donated blood lasts no longer than 42 days. That's why we need donors every day. There are lots of reasons to donate blood. Book now at blood.ca.
Tomorrow, next week, and next month, the need for blood is constant. Check your eligibility to donate and book now at blood.ca. Canadian Blood Services. Together, we are Canada's Lifeline.
This long weekend, TSC has amazing Today's Showstopper offers, like the Samsung 4K Smart TV. The 58 or 70-inch screen has crystal processing for Ultra HD imagery, 4 times the resolution of Full HD. Plus, it keeps track of all your favorite shows and connected devices. This long weekend, check out the Samsung TV and more Today's Showstopper offers. Shop TSC.ca, today's shopping choice.
680 News Time, 10:21.
Traffic and weather together on the ones at the remote traffic center. Craig Gear.
This report is brought to you by AGM Renovation. So on the westbound 401, a little renovation happening here in the collectors on the westbound 401. So they've shut down the collectors. The good news, the Express is handling it just fine, but all the ramps in between approaching McCowan over to the 404, all these ramps on and off the highway, you can't use them because you can't get into the collectors. West 401 approaching McCowan, that's where you're forced into the Express, and then you can resume normal operations just past the 404 DVP. West of the 427 over to Dixie, and the collectors cruise in the 3 right lanes. So a tight squeeze through here, but it doesn't look too bad at the moment. It was causing some slowdowns before, but it doesn't look too bad right now. Everyone's passing by this zone with ease. A bit of construction on the eastbound 401 approaching Dufferin over to the Allen, where they're in the express in the 2 left lanes, and then approaching Warden to east of Kennedy in the express, 2 left lanes blocked again. Plumbing, electrical, furnace, water damage problems in your home, call AGM Renovations for an express service and safeguarded visit. Go to agmbasements.com. Next report at 10:31. Here's the forecast with Natasha Renza. Hi.
That northwest wind is going to continue to gust upwards of 60 kilometers per hour tonight and through much of the day tomorrow as well. So it's going to drive in the lake effect showers through the early evening, but switching over to lake effect snow here. And during that changeover, even some ice pellets are possible at times. And by the morning, trace to a centimeter or 2 of accumulation is likely in some spots of the GTA to the north. Friday afternoon, we'll get some sun with a high of 6. Saturday morning, another light dusting of lake effect snow. This one particularly impacting northern York and northern Durham. That's Saturday morning. The afternoon is partly cloudy with a high of 9. Sunday morning, it's a wet start to the day. We'll get some sun in the afternoon with a high of 10 degrees. Tonight, we're down to a low of 0 degrees. And right now, we're sitting at 3 degrees with a partly cloudy sky. 680 News Time, 10:23.
David Jones here from Hire the Gardener. COVID-19 has brought a lot of change. I hope you're coping well. Many have asked me if we're still open. Absolutely. The grass will still grow, weeds will still need picking, and the gardener is still 100% committed to maintaining and beautifying the 24/7 view from your window. You don't have to come near us, but you can definitely wave to us. Talk to us at hirethegardener.com. Take care of your home, and let's all take care of each other.
It keeps growing.
The 680 News Weather Guarantee jackpot
is over a mind-blowing $20,000. Enter now for your chance to win at 680news.com/contest.
The COVID-19 related death toll at a Bob Cajun nursing home has now hit 29. Officials at Pinecrest saying a resident passed away earlier this morning. Nearly half of the residents at the 65-bed facility have died since an outbreak was declared a month ago. It's the largest outbreak in a nursing home in Ontario. 11 members of the Toronto Police Service have now tested positive as well. The Toronto Star reporting officers and civilians have tested positive in 7 locations, including 1 at police headquarters and 4 at 14 Division. Spokesperson Megan Gray says enhanced cleaning measures are now taking place within those stations. Those who work closely with members with the virus are being advised to self-monitor. Relief is on the way for some CAA home and car insurance policyholders in the wake of the pandemic. The company offering a 10% rate reduction for new and renewing home and or auto insurance policyholders. The CAA says the reduction will be available very soon here in Ontario and valid for the duration of a 12-month policy term. The company also saying the reduced rates can be combined with additional ways to adjust coverage and payment plans to reflect changes like a drop in annual mileage. Coming up in 60 seconds, Richard Southern will join us from the Remote Business Center with all things business.
680 News Time, 10:25.
Hi, I'm Sherry Tabb, co-founder of the Herzig Eye Institute. In support of public health efforts, we have put a pause on elective surgery at our Toronto and Ottawa locations. I and my Herzig Eye Institute staff remain available to you online and by phone to schedule future appointments and to help you stay up to date and safe. Your health is what matters most to us. Google high definition vision and sign up for my blog so we can stay connected. Look after yourself. Promise me.
Are you looking for a ministry-inspected online high school where you can earn credits or upgrade your marks? Learn from home with the Ontario Virtual School. The Ontario Virtual School allows you to earn OSSD credits while you learn from home, so you can get your high school diploma. Now is a good time to sign up. Set your own schedule and get 24-hour access to our certified teachers. Some courses can be completed in as little as 4 weeks. Learn more at ontariovirtualschool.ca.
680 News Time, 10:26.
Now the business report at the Business Center, Richard Southern.
Good evening. What a day, what a week for stocks. Investors back in a buying mood big time, it would appear. The S&P 500 has just closed out its best week since 1974, up 11.9% over the 4 days. The economic news has not been good. It's been extremely poor, but investors are looking ahead a few months to when the economies might reopen. We also have the U.S. Fed today offering up more tremendous stimulus measures for the U.S. economy, another $2.3 trillion to help out governments and businesses. The TSX today was up 230 points to 14,156, gaining 7% on the week. The Dow up 285 points to 23,719. The Nasdaq gaining 62 points today, 10% on the week. The question is this comeback to be believed? Will it hold? Greg Taylor, Chief Investment Officer at Purpose Investments.
Well, the market's starting to act a lot better than it had a few weeks ago. Volatility certainly dropped. The bond market's actually functioning a lot better. And those banks are stabilized. I think there's a lot of fear that the banks weren't going to function if small businesses started to really slow down. So the banks are starting to participate, do a lot better. So the market's functioning a lot better than it did a few weeks ago. There's still going to be volatility. We're not out of the woods yet, but it does feel like we're in a much better place than we were a week ago.
We found out today that Canada lost 1 million jobs in March. The unemployment rate surging to 7.8%, but investors brushing that aside, again, buying stocks. Oil closing lower, $22.76 per barrel. Questions about the breadth of the OPEC cutback, whether it will be big enough. Gold up to $1,752 US dollars the ounce. And the Canadian dollar's higher at 71.5 cents US. This is 680 News.
Put us on and find out what to wear. The best weather reports in the city every 10 minutes on 680 News.
License 10349. It's a slap in the face. Your bank refused your mortgage. Don't get mad. Call Northwood Mortgage. Northwood Mortgage takes a closer look at your financial picture, property equity, past record, the promise of performance, and more. Northwood Mortgage does everything they can to approve the mortgage you need. That's their business. Northwood Mortgage. Visit NorthwoodMortgage.com.
We're working harder for you. At this difficult time, New Life Fertility Center wishes you good health and safety and thanks the government for helping lift the financial burden. It's been hard, but from this hardship will come new life. And when you start yours, consider partnering with New Life Fertility. Don't worry about the cost, because New Life also stands by you financially with the guaranteed lowest IVF cost, just $7,900, and the highest success rate. Terms and conditions apply. NewLifeFertility.com.
First and fast.
Breaking news when it happens on 680 News.
Right now in downtown Toronto, we've got a partly cloudy sky at 5 degrees. 680 News time, 10:30.
Number one for news in Toronto. This is 680 News.
Here are Scott Burnett and Christine Ritchie.
Good evening. This is Thursday, April 9th.
Here's what's making news right now.
An employee at Renton Civic Hospital marks Ontario's first healthcare worker death from COVID-19. The man in his 50s likely contracted the virus from community spread, not work.
The city is working to bring COVID-19 outbreaks at long-term care homes under control, and our top doctor is urging Torontonians to get on board and help fight the spread of the virus.
Another milestone marked when it comes to fatalities in Ontario from COVID-19 as the province sees a shortage in testing supplies a day after claims way more people should be getting tested.
Toronto police say they have nabbed a thief after he became trapped on the roof of a home that he was breaking into.
The Texans deal for a wide receiver, while UFC 249 is officially postponed. Sports at 45.
Ham and lamb sell off. Prices for Easter staples suffering from life under lockdown. Investors gobble up stocks. The Dow gains 12% on the week. Business at 56.
Time for traffic and weather together on the ones. Here's Craig Gear.
This report is brought to you by WeCleanCovid19.ca. So on the westbound 401 approaching McCowan over to the 404, they've shut down the collector lanes for overnight construction. So all the ramps in between are also blocked to and from the highway. We also have the southbound Markham Road ramp to the westbound 401 shut down for maintenance as well. West 401, once you make your way west to the 427, over through to Dixie and the collectors, the 3 right lanes have been blocked off. But you know what? We're up to speed. I'm not spotting any delays through here.
quite a tight squeeze for a stretch as well, but it's handling it no problem. Same with the collector lanes being closed out in the West End for this stretch here. The Express is handling it no problem. The only big deal is all those ramps in between. Approaching McCowan and the 404, you won't be able to use them. Still cleaning up a vehicle in a ditch on the southbound 400 at 5th line. The right lane's blocked off. Essential and non-essential services, realtors and builders ensure that your clients are confident that your space is COVID-19 virus and pathogen free. Guaranteed with WeCleanCovid19.ca. Book today at WeCleanCovid19.ca. Your next report is at 10:41. Here's the forecast with Natasha Renzahai.
This evening and overnight tonight, we're going to have rain switching over to wet flurries. Could even see some ice pellets during that changeover. This is going to be, again, late evening and overnight tonight, and waking up to trace to a centimeter or two of accumulation, especially outside of the downtown core. We'll also wake up to wind chills near -6 the afternoon, getting into some sun with a high of 6 degrees, still windy out of the northwest. Tonight, we're down to a low of 0 degrees.
Downtown Toronto right now, we've got a partly cloudy sky at 4 degrees, feeling like 0. 680 News Time, 10:33.
A sad day at Brandon Civic Hospital where a healthcare worker died from COVID-19. It's believed this case is the province's first coronavirus-related death of a healthcare worker.
680's Michelle Mackey joins us with the details.
The healthcare worker, a Brampton man in his 50s, died this morning in the intensive care unit of Brampton Civic, the hospital where he was a longtime member of the cleaning staff. Dr. Brooks Follis, Director of Critical Care with William Osler, says the patient had no underlying health conditions.
This was a healthy individual who had no known medical problems.
Dr. Lawrence Lowe, medical officer with Peel Public Health, says the man was diagnosed with COVID-19 on March 20th, and an investigation revealed he did not contract the virus from the hospital.
And in the course of our assessment, we did not determine a hospital source.
Dr. Lowe says everyone he came into contact with, both in and outside of the hospital, was contacted and told to self-isolate when he was first diagnosed 2 weeks ago. I'm Michelle Mackey.
If you have a parent, a relative, or a friend at a long-term care home in Toronto, you know it has been a tough week as COVID-19 has torn through homes. But as 680's Phil Martino tells us, health officials are optimistic about reducing the spread. Phil.
Well, Christine, Dr. Eileen Davila says one way or another, COVID-19 gets into long-term care homes through people, and this includes people who visit and people who work there.
It is important to remember that COVID-19 is new. And in fact, the virus was only discovered 3 months ago. So all around the world, we are still learning how to slow this virus down and how to prevent further spread in settings like our long-term care homes.
She says the most important way is through physical distancing.
One of the first measures, and in many ways the most difficult, was stopping family and friends from visiting their loved ones in long-term care homes. This was a critical step to reducing the chance of visitors inadvertently bringing the virus into these settings, as unfortunately has happened in some of our long-term care homes.
Now, Davila says long-term care home workers are at risk and they have to be kept safe as well. She stresses the best line of defense is to slow down the spread of the virus in the community, and that means staying at home as much as possible. And when you are going out, practice physical distancing. There are now 1,769 confirmed and probable cases of COVID-19 in Toronto, and there have been 54 virus-related deaths. Phil Martino, 680 News.
Ontario has now recorded its 200th death from the virus, and there are now almost 6,000 confirmed cases. 680's Stuart McGinn joins us with word some people are being turned away from assessment centers due to a lack of testing swabs.
The steady climb continues. The province now recording 200 deaths and a total of 5,759 cases of COVID-19. But in his daily address, Doug Ford was asked about reports of a shortage of testing supplies across some of Ontario's assessment centers.
I think if they go in, they should be able to get tested. We want to test as many people as possible because we've seen the countries that have tested more people they've been able to slow the spread and flatten the curve.
Regarding the shortage, Ford didn't provide any details other than to say some centers have, for one reason or another, had less volumes of equipment, but it has led to some people, even with symptoms, actually getting turned away. Ford has said the province has the capacity to test up to 13,000 people daily. Just 4,100 people were tested yesterday. Data released tomorrow will show whether those numbers are growing by any substantial amount. I'm Stuart McGinn.
Meantime, the Premier is also now looking at the road ahead. Doug Ford has announced the creation of Ontario Jobs and Recovery Committee to help drive job growth once the public health crisis is over. 680's Mark Douglas joins us with those details.
Doug Ford says the 400,000 jobs lost in Ontario because of COVID-19
are a punch in the gut.
And the Premier wants to do something about it.
I am so confident in the people of Ontario that we can unleash businesses and people, and they're just going to thrive once again, and we will get there.
Ford has announced the creation of the Ontario Jobs and Recovery Committee, but he says for now, the measures to fight the coronavirus, like physical distancing and closing non-essential businesses, even though it's bad for business, those measures have to stay. Minister of Finance Rod Phillips agrees.
The timing of the recovery phase will be informed by the advice of medical experts and the best practices from other jurisdictions hit by COVID-19 earlier than Ontario.
Phillips will be one of 13 members on this new committee. Every member is either one of Ford's cabinet ministers or a top-ranking politician from his own party. I'm Mark Douglas.
680 News Time, 10:38. And this just into 680 News, Gordon Stuckless, the man at the heart of the Maple Leaf Gardens sexual abuse scandal, has died. His lawyer, Ari Goldkind, tells us the 70-year-old suffered a brain hemorrhage on Tuesday, confirming that Stuckless passed away earlier tonight. No other details have been released. Stuckless had been convicted on multiple counts of sexual assaults against boys while he worked as an equipment manager at Toronto's Maple Leaf Gardens between 1969 and 1988. Stay with 680 News for more on this developing story.
And coming up in 30 seconds, we'll take a look at gas prices.
680 News Time, 10:39.
Are you a condo landlord and your tenant has informed you they cannot make April rent or asked to negotiate a reduced rent? With the COVID-19 crisis, you can no longer evict a tenant for non-payment of rent. Register for our upcoming webinar at remaxwealth.com featuring Elaine Page, past Ontario Law Society Paralegal of the Year, to learn how to protect yourself as a landlord. Again, that is remaxwealth.com to register.
Being right matters.
So if our weather forecast is off by more than 3 degrees,
You could win cash.
details at 680news.com.
Now, the 680 News gas price